welcome to episode 12 of Snapverse616. I'm Smokey, and with me, as always, is Invoke, aka Jeremy,
Hello.
aka we'll figure that out and get it right the next time.
Okay, in one multiverse of one thing and the other one, well,
Yeah, I think he was in America Chavez's backpack like Yoda or some shit, and just boom popped into this universe, and it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We already had one of you.
now you got two, and that's problematic.
that's too many. Oh,
Hey, hold on now. Fucking weird.
whoops! I hit the wrong button. I put up a screen grab. I'm trying to put up the news. So the big news is without a specific date, but one can assume based on the past series drop and the fact that last month and this month both end on a Tuesday, and the fact that patches come out on Tuesday, and the fact that the last one for a series drop came out at the end of a month during a season cycle, it stands to reason. Now, I'm not. Don't quote me. In the words of NWA, don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said shit. But,
I mean, I'll quote you.
but it's probably going to happen on the 28th. That would be my guess, based on past experience, past pool drops, the fact that it's a Tuesday, that it's the end of the month, and it's the last week before, because they always do it 1 week before the new season, because they don't want to make the new season some wonky thing with new series drops. So they always do it a week ahead, so people can kind of get that handled. Um, so that would mean all signs point to the 28th. But that said, we're getting some good series drops here. Series 4 to Series 3, we're getting Helicarrier, which I think that's well timed considering the MODOK season pass. Because Helicarrier, when discarded, adds 3/6 cost cards to your hand.
Yes,
So
yes, I do.
I think it's good that they did that. I kind of figured that they lowered that one because it doesn't have high rotation and it's useful in the current season pass meta, which
I think I've seen it twice.
mm-hmm. I had it one time. Somehow I drew it from something when I was playing a MODOK deck earlier this season, the Most Wormbius Mo Problems one. And when I got to Helicarrier, oh man, that just made it a lot more fun because I was destroying even more cards with MODOK. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Um, then the next one that's coming down is Agent Coulson. His value was already pretty limited outside of a Collectors of Shield style deck, and now that MODOK is here, I think this is why we're seeing him drop because in a MODOK world, his value goes down because you can do Collector APOC instead of Collectors of Shield, and you can do it to a much greater effect, which I think you've been doing this season.
Yeah, I've been rocking it. Honestly, it's been fun. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. So I think this is a good drop, but it's not something you're going to want to pin or look out for. But it's coming. That said, he can be good in a Moon Girl Dino and other kind of card hand sum decks, where it's based on the sum of your cards in hand. But um, outside of those situations, he doesn't have a lot of effect. Um, Again, if you're going to use him, you're going to want to use a Quinjet. Get those cards out cheaper if you're going to play him. But he actually kind of gets in the way for Darkhawk and Ronan the Accuser. And so he could be useful against those decks. Or sorry, he could be useful, yes, against those decks, but also he's not so useful with them because you're you're having a issue getting all the cards in your hand that you want. You may not be able to draw the buff cards you need. Um, and Darkhawk's about the number of cards in deck, and so it could help a little bit, but it's because of the cost of the card itself, it gets a little in the way in the rotation, and the fact that the cards that it spawns are 3 and 4 cost cards, that gets in the way again of Darkhawk. Um, but I think it's more a response to the fact that there's more useful cards that do similar things in this meta, and that he doesn't have the value he used to have. So I think that's why they dropped into Series 3. The last one is Maria Hill, and I think they did that similarly because they added Shanna. Kind of makes Maria Hill pointless.
I think I would agree with everything you just said.
Well, yeah, because Maria Hill's what, a 2-3? Shanna's like more powerful.
Yeah.
Let me check the bot so I don't misspeak here, but
I know for sure that she's a 2-3.
she's a
Maria Hill.
4-2.
I'm not
Oh,
sure
yeah,
that
Shanna's a 4-2. So she has less power and costs more, but she adds a random 1 cost card to each location, like already. And
whereas it's Maria
yeah,
Hill's to your hand.
right. Now, Maria Hill does cost significantly less, but when you add in the fact you still have to play that 1 cost card, if you're not running Quinjet, that's a 3 point energy point play, which is only 1 less than Shanna, while Shanna is throwing out 2 cards, which means um, Shanna's 4 cost with the 2 1 cost cards is like, it makes the four a full value to Maria Hill's 3 because you know you get 1 extra card, and I think that's important. Plus, they play automatically, so you don't have to waste a turn. That allows you to do something more powerful on a follow up turn. I think. So
Though,
yeah,
in the current Battle Pass meta, Maria Hill adds more value for a Modoc than
that is true. That is a good point. So if you're not rocking like a
because it's to
kazoo,
your hand.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. So if you're not rocking kazoo Patriot, you'd be better off doing Maria Hill in a Modoc
Yeah.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially considering if you were rocking Shanna outside of kazoo Patriot and you were trying to do the same thing as Maria Hill, like you're saying, if it wasn't a Modoc deck, Shanna would also be getting in
By
the way like
Kazoo, you
debris
mean
and fuel.
Kazar, right?
Kazoo Patriot, not Kazar, but Kazoo Patriot, because Kazoo Patriot is a specific deck archetype. So there's the Kazar deck, and then there's the Patriot deck, and when you put them together, you have a Kazoo Patriot because it's a zoo for Kazar because there's cards in there that have nothing to
Oh,
do with
okay,
him.
okay. I was, yeah, all right. I was thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize the
Yeah,
name was the name.
yeah. People call it Patriot Kazoo or Kazoo Patriot or something like that, or just Kazoo. Um, as opposed to zoo decks, which are just like random hodgepodges and shit. Like a lot of the infinite players play like tech decks with a lot of hodgepodge. Those are zoos. Or just techs.
Facing hodgepodge decks.
Yeah,
They're not fun.
yeah. So I think Maria Hill could have value with the Modoc, yeah. But
That right now, she's pretty much that's the only situation I would use her in because like
yeah,
using her with like a Kazar
right.
too easy to counter. But she does still have some benefit with the Modoc because you're not actually playing those 1 cost cards. You're using them as fodder basically to power up like a Morbius or some other situation that you might use a Modoc with.
Well, like, and we mentioned collector, that would be one because if you have that rocking with a collector APOC situation, that's 1 extra card for the buff to collector. That's just another plus to connector, or a collector.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it buffs both collector and
Oh
Morbius.
no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it could be useful.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
could be useful in a deck that's rocking those. That
I
said,
did use her for a bit for that purpose actually.
yeah. That said, Modoc Disco is much less popular the higher up in the ranks you get because it is
Yes.
very RNG and people like to have steady Q games. Plus, they like to be able to like counter with tech. So you're gonna see more of the Shuri Red Skull, and then you're gonna see a lot of Shang Chi and Arrow.
Yeah, I
Um,
would be swapping over to Shuri Red Skull if I had Shuri. I
yeah,
don't have
it's
Shuri yet
still
though.
susceptible in the high ranks. Like it's been slower getting through vibranium. Like I'm still in low vibranium. than it was getting through Diamond with it. I blew through Diamond with that deck. Like I went like 18-6-1 on my last like streak of hands going into rank up, and it was nasty. But then as soon as I got to Vibranium, because the MMR being what it is and weird, it doesn't match you based on that rank. It matches you more based on your hidden MMR and collector level. And the hidden MMR, unfortunately, is based mostly off of win loss, not cube rate. And because of that, if my cube rate was low, for example, for last season playing Zabu Jet, because everybody retreats on 5 when they see the 2 Spideys, I could only get 2 and 4 cubes instead of 4 and 8 cubes because of that retreat situation. So I had a very high win loss rate, but I didn't make it to Vibranium. My cube gains were very low. So the MMR being what it is, you're actually, once you hit like Diamond, you're gonna start occasionally seeing like Omega plus players, and the occasional infinite card back player, or like really really dirty title or whatever, right? And then when you get to Vibranium though, that's literally all you see if you're me. And again, that's because it's based on win loss record, not cube gains. If it was based on cube gains, then I'd be seeing players of similar ranking, but it's not. And it's something we do hope they'll adjust, but that's for another time. Um,
Yeah.
Now back to the series drops. For Series 5 to Series 4, we have quite a few cards. The first of which is Silver Surfer. Um, that's important mostly just because it got one nerfed, two, it's a season pass from like 2 season passes ago, and that's about on par for when they start series dropping them. Like Black Panther dropped to 4, um, the last drop. So of course Silver Surfer is going to drop to 4 this drop. So that means I would expect Zabu, to drop to 4 next time. So with Silver Surfer dropping down, that's about pretty well timed. It's consistent with the timing of the previous drops. And if you're looking to get Silver Surfer, I would say definitely pin him now and wait. But also, Silver Surfer doesn't have as big an effect as he used to, so I might just skip it and wait until that comes down to a Series 3 in another like 2 months probably. Um,
That's kind
yeah,
of where I'm leaning.
yeah. Now the next
If
one,
you don't already have it.
yeah, yeah. Now the next one's Darkhawk, which has a lot of people salty. Actually,
Well, I have thoughts on this one.
yeah. Actually, I had some conversations this week with other snappers, um, that maybe were a little salty because of the drop coming up for Darkhawk. Um,
You
but
think?
but the thing is, this card is why Zabu got nerfed. Everybody was like, "Oh, good, they're getting rid of the double Spidey lane lock." That was very easily counterable. Plus, it telegraphed so well that you don't lose a lot of cubes to it. That wasn't why Zabu got nerfed. They'd let that run all day because it's cube attrition for the player running it. Now, Zabu Darkhawk, on the other hand, that's disgusting because you can drop Darkhawk for like 2 beforehand on turn 6 and still play a 4 costy. If you skip turn 5, you can just Darkhawk She-Hulk. You know what I mean? You can do a lot of things. You play a small card on 5, you can Darkhawk She-Hulk 6. You can, there's so many possibilities with him that way. Now he's 3 with a Zabu, which is still very powerful because you combine him with any 3 costy on turn 6. I mean, that's pretty sweet. You could basically Darkhawk Mystique, turn 6, and you have 2 Darkhawks. And
Dude, Darkhawk Silver Surfer.
yeah, but like Darkhawk being only 1 power, right? It's not like you're losing 3 power by cloning it when like you do the same thing with Devil Dino and Mystique, right? So you actually get more value from the Mystique play here. So basically, on turn 6 you can still play 2 Darkhawks. That's still extremely powerful. So I think the reason they're dropping this down to 4 is so that it's more accessible to more players because it is a very broken card. Basically, if you have this card, you can autopilot. You can just autopilot
And
to infinite.
that's why people are so salty.
Yes,
Because
because yeah,
they feel like they're losing their ability to autopilot,
yeah,
even though
and they don't
they're not.
want to say that because they don't want to. A lot of people that are getting salty about it don't want to be honest with their own ability and evaluate it, and be critical of it, in an honest sense, which like I try to do and makes me a better player, and it's what we try to teach you to do as viewers because it'll make you better players. But I've seen a lot of Darkhawk players that are salted about the nerf to Zabu, going, oh, they didn't need to drop it down another pool. It's because they want the exclusivity of it. Because if it's exclusive, it's extremely winnable. If it's everywhere all the time, then everybody's going to counter it on turn 6, or they're going to do a thing to get around it. They're going to build a deck around it if it's common, like the way people are doing arrows and Shang-Chi's and tech decks to combat the zero Red Skull Shuri meta right now. And so, obviously the people that have Darkhawk are going to be upset because they autopiloted to infinite, and I think they're afraid that the truth of reality might show up for them, that they didn't do enough homework on the game as a whole, and they're afraid that Darkhawk's not going to have the same power, and oh no, they're going to be screwed. But
Which it won't. It'll be slightly diminished. It's still going
mm-hmm.
to be a strong card.
Yeah, it'll still be strong. It'll just be in more
There's still
people's
going to be
hands.
people that are going to struggle with it,
Mm-hmm.
but at least there's more of a chance to beat it, and it's less autopilot.
Yeah, if more people have
I
it,
just,
it has less value because more people have it.
I'm coming from like we said many weeks in a row now. I'm coming from a game
Right.
like a ton of these card game experiences where I've seen autopilot decks
Yep.
basically kill games for me, where it's just like it's no
Yeah.
fun to play because
Yeah.
I know that they're autopiloting
Yep.
and I'm gonna lose because not because they're better than me, but because they just
They
happen
just
to
have
have cards
cards you don't.
because they
Yep.
put money into it or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And that's an
Like
issue right now too with the game. So it's good they dropped Darkhawk now,
it is.
because I know like you're saying with the dumping the money into it thing. A lot of people right now are feeling like, because of what we said with the MMR and the collector level being broken, part of it. As soon as you hit that 486 threshold of pool 3, you just see everybody, which doesn't make any sense to me because if you're facing me, I have every pool 3 card on the planet. If you just got into pool 3 from like 46, you just pulled your first pool 3 card, or you bought a season pass, right? Why should you see me? You shouldn't see me. That's unfair. So one of the things that we love about this game was that it was very approachable for new players. But if they can't address that, that kind of flies out the window. And then how do you keep the influx? How do you keep the thing? And so where you're talking about autopilot being stale, right? Um, instead of autopilot being stale, like in and of itself, you're gonna have people that also don't want to play because they're yes, they're facing that, but they're facing it at a point in time where it's like they're like, man, the first pool 3 I got was 0 and I don't even got nothing to use it with. You know what I mean? Like, then what do they do? Because all the pool 2 cards, as far as I know, don't have negative effects that you would want to undo. So it's like, like you could draw 0, or I mean, you could draw hazmat and not have like Luke Cage or
I
something.
can't. Yeah,
You can't what?
Cage would be one that you wouldn't want to undo because, yeah,
I'm just saying, like, how do you have like 2 cards, right, and then you face somebody that has like the entire pool? That's not okay, and it's going to deter people from playing, because the whole thing that was great about this game and sold people on it in the beginning was that it's approachable for new players. One of the things that was approachable about the game, for new players when we were starting out, was that buying a season pass didn't necessarily drive you into the top of like the thing. Like, that seems like an egregious error, that a pool 5 card from a $10 purchase now shoves you into the thick of it with me. That shouldn't happen. That's not fair, and that's going to make people not want to spend money. So that creates a bit of an issue. And where we said, like, you're talking about Magic and whatnot. One of the reasons that I fell out of love with Magic, and bear in mind that shit came out when I was a kid, in like '93. I was in grade school. We used to play that at the lunch tables and stuff. I was an early adopter. Like I had the Nightmare card. Like I was a god back then, right? And I'd been playing it since, like off and on. But
Yeah, I got you into it there for a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. But what kept me from playing it consistently is the fact that one, the decks are bigger, so that's a sell point for this game here with Marvel Snap. The decks are smaller, it's more approachable. The combos and stuff makes it more like poker because you're trying to read a specific curve or a specific set of things. You're not like trying to figure out how to like combat like 30 cards while figuring out what your 30 cards are or some shit. Like you're not playing like with a deck of cards. You're playing just a handful. And when you think about it, you have like two cards more than two hands of poker. Like it's not that many cards. It's good. But Magic has a lot in just a deck. And then it's got a lot of cards on
The
top of that.
60.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's got a lot of cards on top of that. So what ends up happening is you have to spend a lot just to get started. You have to have a lot of stuff just to get started, or you just get raffle stomped constantly. Now, what made this game great at the beginning was that the CL was working. Now, something about the MMR with the CL is not working now. And people that have like one Zabu from Season Pass or like a Falcon from like Pool 3, and we will be making a video about this stuff with like, clips and evidence and all that stuff. That'll be upcoming. But we're working on it right now. We're collecting research and data. But the thing is, if you come into the game, you buy one Season Pass, and you get flung into it with me, and I just raffle stomp you, are you going to spend more money on the game? Probably not. Are you going to keep playing the game? Probably not. And the whole point of what Ben Brode's design was to bring players in for those missions and the replayability. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. I want to come back. I want to come back. But that's not going to happen if every time you come back you get shit on for like 3 games by players with like, cards you've never heard of. I mean,
The
and I'm just
only
speaking
way I
from a
could
new
see
player
them,
perspective.
the only way I could see them fixing it besides fixing the MMR issues, which again we'll talk about at some point. Um,
Well, yeah, we're making a video about it.
Aside from fixing that, the only way they could fix it without fixing the problem would be to introduce new modes. For
Mm-hmm.
example, Hearthstone introduced like Tavern Brawl, which was like you versus CPU, so you
Mm-hmm.
could like experiment and
Mm-hmm.
collect new cards that way without getting stomped by
Yep.
people that
Yep.
were better than you in ranked.
Yep. They
But
absolutely need something like that.
I would rather them fix the MMR
Me too,
rather
but
than put that in. But yeah,
MMR is a harder fix, code wise and all that too. Because I mean, here's the thing: RNG. Like everybody likes to think that there is random chance, but there's really not. There's no such thing. There's an approximation of random chance. That's what we have, and you learn about this in like philosophy and shit. If you like take philosophy courses and logic courses, like there's no such thing as
or
actual random
research
chance. Yeah,
methodologies.
or
You
research
want to go to
methodologies. Yeah,
OQ.
like there's literally no such thing as random chance. That's not an actual thing. Everything has causality and everything like blah 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 blah. But the real thing about random chance is that means like these random number generators are algorithmic, which means that on a long enough timeline with enough data points gathered, you will actually see clusters in regions of the RNG, like where it favors and keeps hitting certain ranges more than others, and that's because it's algorithmic. And so you can get a good approximation of RNG, but you'll never really have randomness, true randomness. So the thing is, because of stuff like that, it's very hard to design elo systems um, that don't break over time. And so what we're seeing here is an example of that because the elo system worked well at the beginning, but it's breaking slowly over time now, and that's the issue. And that's part of it's that RNG stuff. It's like earlier in the week when I documented playing a Modoc deck, right? Modoc APOC, and I saw during right before the Quantum Tunnel event and during the Quantum Tunnel event, I saw 30 out of 46 hands were Mindscapes, and the majority of those were after Quantum Tunnel dropped, which is like I saw Quantum Tunnel 4 times, but I saw Mindscape, 30. What? And it was really interesting, and I asked the devs about it and stuff, and my question disappeared the next day, but also so did the issue with Mindscape. So it was kind of interesting. But I think what that shows is that the RNG algorithms can break and they can hit in a range where they're not supposed to, you know? And um, why'd they hide the question? Whatever. Was it a thing about exploitability? Was it, I mean, I doubt that. I don't know how you exploit something like that, but I think it was more to do with the fact that it would expose the system of randomness for what it is and not being like all that random and susceptible to breaking because it kept hitting that one note for me over and over and over. And in the days of AI and machine learning, a lot of RNG is built around that stuff too to try to make it more random. And it's just kind of like, what if it hits on that note? Like, what if for some reason it gets wonky, learns that notes to hit, and hits it because it fucks me? It's like, hey, it fucks that player up. That's my job, right? I'm supposed to RNG some stuff in to fuck with his deck from time to time. Okay, but I did it there. We'll just keep doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be a case of something like that. Now, we don't know how they design their code, so we're not going to speculate, but we can tell you how RNG does work as a whole and what kinds of things can happen to it. And so I would think that the tavern brawl modes and stuff you're talking about are probably going to be the solutions that they do roll out purely because it's harder to,
Probably, especially
yeah.
given his history with
Hmm.
Hearthstone.
Exactly. And the fact that Hearthstone had some similar issues, so it's kind of like he might be using past experience and code and stuff that may also have had this susceptibility to it. So let's hope that they can fix it in the long term, but that hopefully in the short term they get some of these game modes coming out that can solve that. Because I know battle mode to an extent has helped alleviate that. Because I know when I'm facing like 12 infinites in a row, and I'm just like, yo, Obi-Wan, where are you, man? I got no hope. When I'm feeling like that, battle mode, is a nice way to keep playing the game. The problem with that is you have to have someone to play, and you don't always have someone to play. So it would be nice if there were other queue systems than ladder. You know, it would also be nice if the ladder was representative of how that is in every other game. Approximation of skill. Whereas right now I'm in Vibranium, but if I'm facing infinite players, the game's telling me my skill is infinite, but I can't get there because I'm not facing people in my rank level that I can beat up on to advance. And see, that's the issue, and I hope they fix that because that's no good for anybody. That said, the next card up is Null. Now this one, this is good to come down, and it's cheap because you can combine it with Galactus, and Ben Brode has specifically said Galactus and Thanos are his two big bads that will not anytime be nerfed or pool dropped. So
Yeah, and I mean it is good that there are cards that he won't pull drop because it does give you something to like work towards, and I'm sure as the game ages, there will be more cards added to that. There will be, I don't can't
yeah,
think of a maybe a
e-
living tribunal or something like that in terms of
eternity,
lore.
something. Yeah,
Eternity, yeah. But at the same time, it is good that basically what I would say is good here is the fact that the devs do seem to be like listening. They may not be transparent about everything.
yeah,
They're fairly transparent. They're more transparent than most devs that I can think of.
yeah. I think the only dev house I've ever played a game for that was more transparent than them is Coffee Stain for Satisfactory. But, and this is an important but, it's not a PvP game in any way, shape, or form. So it's a lot easier to be transparent because people can't take advantage of the information you're giving them.
The only other company that I can think of that is, you know, somewhat close is like a Bethesda, but again, a lot of
Yeah, they
them
fuck
it's
up, but they're
not
very transparent
PvP.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
They,
mean, they,
they,
they
they
did
said,
just put
hey,
out
we know
Hi-Fi
we fucked
Rush.
up.
They did just put out Hi-Fi Rush, and that's a pretty solid game. So
Yeah.
But yeah, they are usually
Yeah,
transparent about
pretty
fucking
fun.
up. That said, some of their fuck ups are like, yeah, apologizing and being
Some of their fuck
transparent
ups
after
kill the game.
doesn't really make up for it. Like the collector package, I think for Fallout 76 is still widely regarded as what the fuck barbecue. That's not what you sold me. You said canvas bag, not like vinyl shit bag. You said like cool helmet, not like plastic half melted thing that doesn't fit on a hamster's head. Yeah, so I mean, that wasn't very transparent, but when their games are broken and all that kind of stuff, they're always like, yes, this is broken. Yes, we're fixing it. Sorry. Which is good.
Yeah.
You know. And then when they fix stuff, they give you a very acute like sense of the timeline as it happened, what you can expect, what the patch things are. And you know what? Snap does that too. Second Dinner, they're very good about that too. Like we always know what all the things are. I mean, hell, we make a whole podcast around stuff, and it's like super easy to find the information. We're just saving you time and putting it all in one place. But it's super
Yeah.
easy to find because they're always announcing it somewhere, whether it's on the main site, their Twitter, whatever it is. But they're always announcing somewhere what all this stuff is. So Null in the series drop is cool because Galactus and Thanos, as we're saying, without dropping, there's no buyer's remorse. Now, I personally just bought Null, and then this series announcement came out like 2 weeks later, and I haven't even used Null because now I'm saving for Galactus, and I'm almost there. Do I feel like, oh my god, I got screwed by it? No. Them's the breaks, man. Them's the breaks. Like you can either hoard your tokens until every card drops into the pool, lower, or you can go big and go home, or but like them's the breaks, man. Them's the breaks. Did I know was gonna happen? Nah, that wasn't even on the talk a couple weeks back. Nobody was even. Nope, that wasn't even on the forefront of anything. But now this last one, Century. Now see that one makes sense. But the funny thing is, out of all these cards, it's the newest. Like it only just fucking came out. Like what, toward the end of last battle pass? I think it was like the last week or something.
It was literally the last one out.
Yeah, and so Century is like it puts that void, right? And you could Viper the void over, shit like that. It's like an extra hobgoblin kind of situation. Um, but nobody was really using them. Nobody was really saving up to buy them. And at 6,000, an extra hobgoblin that I have to play a card to make work, or a card that I need to zero, and it's only 8 power. Like I could just play fucking Crossbones or Just Jones. Yeah, there's like literally I mean, when a pool 2 card can do almost the same business at the same price, that shit does not belong in Series 5. So dropping Sentry to Series 4 is absolutely necessary. In my opinion, that card should probably be Series 3, but maybe that's a little excessive because then it would be Sentry everywhere probably. So I see what they're doing. But
Also, maybe it's coming because they probably don't want to drop two pools in one drop, right? Because
yeah,
then they're gonna be like, well,
yeah.
why'd you wait this long? Like, why'd you release it and then instantly drop it two pools?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they don't want people to think, man, if I buy a car, they're just going to drop it right away, and that'll affect stuff too. So I can see why they drop it to 4 first.
Yeah, because I already started to feel that way about some of the battle pass
Mm.
cards, where it's like, well, if they're gonna put it in series anyway, why buy the battle pass? But it's like there are some cards that are like valuable enough.
Yeah.
Like I think personally, I like Modok enough that I'm like,
Well,
okay
that,
with spending the 16
yeah,
bucks it was for me to
Canadian.
get it, Canadian, of course, because
Yeah.
fuck Canada, goddamn looters.
But yeah, the thing though is they're very consistent, like we were saying earlier about the Battle Pass ones. So Silver Surfer, Miles Morales, Black Panther, they
It's the
drop
next
very
season after,
consistently.
yeah,
Like, well, it's not. It's the season after the next season is when they drop every
yeah.
time, and then the season after
That's
that
what I
they
meant.
might drop more depending, like Miles or whatever. But yeah, those are very consistent in how they drop, so you don't have buyer's remorse about the season pass. I think the thing that was probably giving people the most buyer's remorse with season pass is probably the fact that the last two got nerfed. But I think they got Modok balanced a bit better, and the sad fact is his whole kit can be just easily countered by playing Leech the same turn that the Modok player is playing Modok, because if you flip Leech first and Modok pops off, oh, that APOC ain't coming back.
Cosmo is also another counter.
Yeah. But again, we think this will probably come out February 28th, but don't quote us on that. But that's typically when it does come out. That said, this is all the news that's fit to print, and some stuff that'll probably make Ben Brode complain to our editor Jonah Jameson. So we'll see. And we'll be back with Smoke Strategy.
That is if they ever notice stuff.
You have to ever notice this. One day. That's the dream. This week on Smoke Strat for Success, we're going to be talking about some kind of intricacies of the game that are slightly related to what we talked about last time with syntax, and how the flavor of text on something can really affect something and what it truly might mean versus what you might think on the surface. So first off, battle mode is a great way right now to test new decks and to test if a deck might have an unforeseen card or location interaction without fear of cube loss. So for example, if you're not sure, what was it? I took a note. If you're not sure about things like which cards arrow moves when places are almost full, you can go do a battle mode with a friend and be like, hey, put 3 cards on this spot, please. And then on the last turns, don't put anything there. And I want to test something. Then you play arrow there and you go, oh shit, it plays cards in reverse order. Meaning, if your opponent played Professor X, Doc Ock, and then Magneto, not possible in one turn, but it would actually take Magneto first, then Doc Ock, then Professor X. That's how Arrow operates. So, given that that's the case, for her, right, you might lose a game, lose some cubes finding that out. But if you test her in battle mode, you'd be like, aha! That's the order in which. So battle mode's a great place to do some science without the fear of cube loss, I feel like. I think Jarris tested some decks on me this week.
Yeah, that collector based deck that didn't really work out as expected.
Yeah,
I mean,
to be fair, I was playing meta so that you would be facing the absolute worst of laddering to test it. But
I mean, I did beat you 1 out of 5 hands. So I mean,
if you were able to cube up well, you could make that work. If you're able to get out at 1 cube every time and then hit 8 on that, you'd be able to get 3 cubes.
But is that worth the risk? No, probably not.
You're not always going to have it work out that way.
Yeah.
That said, cube loss is important in this whole thing too when testing new decks and stuff, because it might actually just influence how you're testing the deck and how you're testing new techniques, how you're testing curves, and therefore it might actually provide skewed or faulty data because your own thought process of it. It's Schrodinger's cat, right? It's the electron microscope, the observer effect. The fact that you're looking at it makes it not accurate. You know what I mean? So, against a friend for no stakes, you're likely to play the new methods to full effect and take risks and do things to see what happens without second guessing and go with gut instinct and stuff, because you're not letting the fear drive you, because you're trying to do science in a place where you could lose everything doing it. I mean, Dr. Hammond made the dinosaurs in a lab. He didn't go out into the jungle with dinosaurs and go, okay guys, time to hump, make some more dinos, come on, let's go boy. He wasn't out there playing some mood music, like little Barry Manilow or some shit. He wasn't out there doing that. No, you don't go out into the field and do
Kind
the
of
science that way.
creepy he was.
Yeah. Yeah, you do the science in the lab, I mean, obviously there are anthropologists, people like that, marine biologists, there are people that do science out in the field, but what I'm talking about here is to keep an experiment, not an observation, but an experiment clean of outside factors. You gotta, insulate it, and I think battle mode's a good way to do that. So, an example of something that we found out while playing and testing things this week, when Luke's bar came up, we found out that it has an interaction where if your hand is full and then you play a duplication card of some kind, that card stays there. It stays at Luke's bar because it has a lack of place to go. Because your hand size max is 7 no matter what. Luke Cage cannot shove a card back into your hand if that hand is full. So, if you're playing, say, Moon Girl and Luke's bar comes up, don't fret yet. Fold when you see the guy that's going to play Zola into Venom or, Red Skull or whatever, but you don't got to fold right off the jump, because you could put Moon Girl there. You could put a Sentinel there, things that'll clone themselves. And then you can't, like, if you have 7 cards in hand and play a Sentinel there, Sentinel stays because it clones itself on reveal. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? Because remember, location effects happen after on reveals because that's how Storm works, right? Because if I mean, accepting Dark Dimension, because Dark Dimension precludes her from doing her reveal, but, short of something like that, right? You play Storm, she affects the location before the location affects her. So similarly, you play a Sentinel with a hand full, right, of 7 cards. You clone the Sentinel, it clones it to your hand. You played a card, so 6 plus 1, 7 again. Sentinel stays. You play Moon Girl with 4 cards in hand. She duplicates the 3 that can fit. She stays. So it's a good way to counter places like that. That said, another interesting thing that did come up this week for me, now that I'm getting higher in the ranks and it's later in the season, Infinites at times they give cubes away, and they do it intentionally because they know the MMR is broken, so they're trying to donate cubes back. Like, think of it like a gold sink in a game, right? Like Warcraft or something. Too much gold's getting in the economy, so they put a gold sink in. It pulls the gold out so that normal items still have their value. But like with this, damn, I lost my train of thought.
Gold zinc.
Oh yeah, so similarly with the cubes, like they don't have like a cube sink, but the reason you get that plus 10 when you rank up is because they know that there's cube attrition due to like some MMR issues and some other things. So they're giving you these cubes because they know that some cubes are getting lost to the ether. Whether you play a bot or something that beats you, or you play a player that's much higher ranked that can't lose cubes, etc. Because like infinites are hoarding cubes and they don't come back, unless they intentionally lose to you. And even then, their cubes technically don't leave, so that's why they're able to donate back and kind of help solve that problem. So here's some things to like look out for if you are laddering and someone's acting weird, and then like says some shit like I'm losing, or they're acting weird, and they give you a thumbs up, but they don't, you can tell it's not the fucking middle finger, you know what I mean? Like they give you a thumbs up like to start the match, and you're just like, huh. And they're doing that because the standard is to fist bump, right? To pay dap at the beginning of a match. So by them at the beginning of a match just doing thumbs up or thumbs up I'm losing, what they're saying to you is, I'm infinite, have some cubes. Now, you don't have to trust me or trust them, and I don't always trust them, but you can play the game out and you can see where it's going, and if they are in fact like just tossing the game, snap on that 6th turn. They're not trying to fucking pull one over on you. An example that was really obvious for me this week was I played a dude after stream yesterday or this morning or something. I don't remember when, but because it would have been like middle of the night or something like that. Bar with no name came up. Now, bar with no name, that's like Luke's bar, right? With a weird interaction, except in that one, if you play anything there that's not negative, you lose, right? Because the lowest score wins. That's Snap Golf location, right? So, this dude kept playing into Luke's bar, but the thing is, he didn't just do it. I had played Lizard on the right, on the far right, like turn two, right? So I play Lizard on the far right on turn two. Now, here's the trippy thing. When Bar with No Name flips over, he had a card there too, but it was much smaller. Next turn, he plays another one there. Basically, he was saying, you win, take these cubes. I know I'm not supposed to face you. I'm sorry. If you see a player on like a situation like that where there's a Luke's bar or something like that, and they play really oddly bad into it, but they're also very visibly not a bot, it's because they know they outrank you and they shouldn't be playing you. They can tell they outrank you and shouldn't be playing you. And you're probably sitting there going, how do they know that? One, platin up, you start to face a lot of the same players. Diamond it up, you literally face all the same players. For example, community member Ezras, who we've got some content coming up for, some good stuff this episode here later on. I see him in the middle of the night, like every fucking night. We face each other like every night in the middle of the night at some point. You know, and it's funny, but at the same time, when it's an infinite player, they know you don't belong there. How? They've never seen you around in there before. Very often, you don't have a title that would indicate that. Because, I mean, if you make it to infinite and you're still running around like me going, Professor X's best friend for your title, you're in a universe that doesn't exist. I mean, I'm sorry. I love that title, and I'm in a power chair, so I love that title. But bet your ass, if I had really, really dirty from last season from getting infinite, oh, I'd be rocking that shit. So, one, they don't see you with that title. Two, they don't see you rocking the special infinite card back, right? They don't see those things, they know. And they don't want to beat up on you sometimes, so they'll donate cubes. So, in those situations, you know, like I said, that guy that was playing weird into Luke's bar, just take the cubes. Because I probably could have gotten 8 from that guy, and I only got 4. He even did snap, question mark, you know? And I'm just like, huh? Because most of the time, people that do that are jackasses.
Yeah.
But this guy was trying to legit communicate to me, hey, I'm infinite, can't lose cubes, come get your 8, bud. I want to help you rank up, because this system's broken. So you may run across some of those. Now, that said, if you are only like, you know, gold and below, this advice is definitely not for you on ladder, because you are not going to run into this situation as often. But you might. It's not going to be as often, but you still might. And you're like, why Smokey, why? Well, because what we were talking about earlier with the CL thing, you buy one season pass, suddenly you're in the fucking shit with everybody. You're facing people with CL levels like 4,000 like me. So, you know, the advice still stands, but it's not going to be as prevalent below diamond or even plat. But yeah, that is Smoke's strat for this week, and we'll be back with Invoke's accessible vacation locations, and we'll see if he can say it right like I just did. All right, and we are back with, well, you want to try to see if you can say it this week?
Invokes accessible. Vacation location.
Hey, he said vacation this time. We're going on a trip. We're not learning how to do a job task. We're going on a trip. Hey, look at that. Yeah, so we had Washington, D.C. for the hot location. And we had Quantum Tunnel for the event location, for the new location.
Yes. Washington, D.C., I mean, it's pretty basic. It helps the Patriot decks out massively um, because you're playing a lot of cards that have no ability to begin with.
Yep.
So you're basically double buffing on that location because you're laying Patriot somewhere else and you're laying a bunch of cards with no abilities.
Yep.
It's an easy 2-lane win unless somebody, Scarlet Witches the location on
Yeah.
you, and then, well, you're kind of screwed. Um,
I think you're a little
Mystique is a decent
susceptible.
one.
I was gonna say you're a little susceptible there, though, Because yeah, you get the extra buff or whatever with your Patriot Mystique situation, but you are a little susceptible to getting debuffed easier because you're gonna have to put. Because usually you rock like Patriot, Mystique, Blue Marvel, right? So you got a three, and you got to try to spread them out. It's
Yeah.
harder to do because you and not telegraph it too, because this basically goes, hey, I can't play him there, or I'm not gonna want to play him there.
Instead, you're gonna put your other cards there.
Exactly. But you could also use that to your advantage if they think that. Play a Blue Marvel there and be like, ha ha, that's the guy I'm putting on top of Brood, sucker. I don't know. Like you could use it to your advantage to
Yeah,
avoid
you
Enchantress
can lane other
or
people
Rogue.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can trick them by laning them and being like,
yeah,
you think I'm not gonna play this,
yeah.
but really I am. Sort of like you
Mm-hmm.
nerfing your Zabu.
Yeah,
But most people
exactly.
don't expect that, right?
Yeah, I use that to trick people into putting their ongoings where I can hit them easily and want to hit them easily by putting my Zabu down. Yeah, absolutely. Especially now that Zabu got nerfed, it's like, you know what? I love being able to play Shuri on turn 3, but the amount of times I have to just skip till turn 5 before I can even play a card that buffs anyway, whatever. I'm cool with just nuking the Zabu. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, sorry about that. My
Nah,
headset.
you're good.
So,
You're good.
um,
I got you covered for like 60 seconds on
so,
your
I mean,
side.
pretty basic. The location that I really want to talk about this week is, of course, the Quantum Tunnel.
Yes, the quantum
Because
toilet.
of tunnel, bitch,
I,
tunnel.
I'm calling it the quantum toilet because you throw shit in there and it either goes down or it comes back up. And you need a plunger. I don't know, but it's the quantum toilet.
What the location? You kind of fucked though. Pay a plumber. Um,
So if you play lizard there, is that like super effective? Because that's like snaking the toilet, and that's like some plumber shit, right? I'll see myself out.
I would not recommend playing unless you've got like a maybe enchantress, right? That would
Yeah, and
buff them.
here's a fun one with this. Any cards that are played there, um, if they had been nuked by leech or something like that, any cards that are played there that got fucked up, come back into your hand. Like if you redraw them, they come back fresh and clean, baby.
Yeah,
All
with the
abilities.
abilities. Yep,
Yep.
yep. It's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like
Yep.
rinsing them dry.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Um, I loved it because I've been playing a lot of the disco deck, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I loved was like, you know, hoping to not draw long, which is generally the opposite of what I want. Generally, I want long in my opening hand. That's my
Yeah.
good curve is to have long APOC and Swarm,
See, this
and
is
then
when I swapped decks. Was this location when it became the hot or
so
the event location? I swapped because of what you're saying. I kept pulling out cards. I kept killing the wrong shit and doing the wrong things. And I was just like, you know what? I need some
yep.
consistency here.
Basically, with this location, your curve for that deck, for the deck that we're going to show later, the curve changes.
Yeah.
You do not want long or any of your regular cards. You do not want them in your opening hand.
Yeah.
Um,
You want the
Cards
trash
you
ones.
might want in your opening hand are your low cost cards that you
Sunspot.
barely use anyway. So like uh, a sunspot, a blade,
A lizard.
um, a lizard,
I
things
have
that
him in
like
my deck, not the disco deck, but he's only a 2 cost of 5 power. You can throw him away and draw him
yeah.
again.
So like I like using blade at Quantum Tunnel because blade's going to discard a card, which theoretically will buff up Morbius whether he's in my hand or not. So instant buff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because hopefully I don't draw. Because usually if I'm using Blade, Blade instantly discards Modoc or instantly discards Wog, which are two cards that I kind of need for this deck.
Yep.
Um, so like I don't want Wong and I don't want Modoc in my hand opening up, but I do
Yeah.
want Blade. So I'll lay
Yeah.
Blade on
Yeah.
Quantum Tunnel, hope that he pulls
Yeah.
up like a Lady Sif or a
Yeah.
Wong or even a Modoc, getting an early Modoc for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
cost is solid, especially if like Morbius
Yeah.
isn't in your hand already.
Yeah.
Because then you're not gonna worry about him getting discarded by Modoc. But I loved it when I
That's
would
true.
pull up a Wong just out of nowheres, because then that would be the first card in the location theoretically, right? So Wong would stay there then, so any
Yep.
card I lay on top of
Yep.
that would disappear, but I'd still get the reveal effect.
Yep.
Plus, knowing my deck, I would get another reveal effect on top of the one that I'd already gotten,
Yep.
plus the Wong ability.
I
So
had.
instead of discarding one card,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm discarding three cards in one turn.
Okay. Now, see, I had something like that going, but what it was for me was, it only happened a few times, but when it did, oh my god, the top decking of the card that I dropped into Quantum Tunnel was sick. So, I would drop Shuri into Quantum Tunnel. She'd come back into my hand top deck. I would throw her back in there.
Another one that is nice to do is like Blade or something first turn. That'll discard, say for example, Swarm. So you
Yeah.
get two swarms that are now zero energy. Throw Swarm on there,
Mm-hmm.
one or two of them, depending on how many you have,
Yep. Yep.
how many times it's been discarded. You'll get two free cards, one to two free cards, whatever. That will also discard cards. Hopefully they discard Swarm again. So you just keep
Yep.
getting free cards on top of free
Yep.
cards, which will also buff your Morbius,
You.
which will also buff
Yep.
your collector if you have them out.
Now you could do
It's
lockjaw style too, right? Like you don't have to just do
yeah,
disco. And I think that gives you like a
yes,
lockjaw for two lanes almost. But I think
yes, it does.
one thing that it was making me think of with that just now is Yellow Jacket, right? Now Yellow Jacket, like Wasp, costs nothing, but Yellow Jacket, when played there on reveal, afflicts -1 to your cards. So that one played in there, or whatever, that's cool if you played in there first. But if you start playing cards in there after and you don't have them back in your hand, you could start drawing them out and afflicting your cards there with -1. So that was getting me to thinking, if you were gonna use that particular card in Lockjaw, or Quantum Tunnel situation or something like that, you would definitely want to rock a Luke Cage. And then I'm starting to think, well, if you're gonna give a mouse a cookie, you might as well give him a hazmat to drink, because if you're gonna have that kind of a situation going on, you might as well just have hazmat. But that could be devastating too, right? Because if you have Luke Cage and then you keep throwing hazmat into the Quantum Tunnel and getting it back, or lockjawing it and getting it back, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you could really be fucking the other side up, and you don't even have to telegraph it with a Wong.
Yeah, I really enjoy. Basically, all that to say is I really enjoyed this location with the current deck that I've
Yeah,
been running.
yeah, yeah. You have, and I'm glad you found a way to make it work, because I did not find the same success with it. Granted, mine is a slightly different build of it than yours, but still. Now,
I mean, mine's gone through a different, few different iterations. I
but I
have
know you don't
one
have
a
Dracula.
version
That's the
of
main thing.
I have a version of that deck that's got a totally different name. It's called the New Orleans Shuffle
Lol.
because it involves APOC
New
and it
Orleans
involves like
Shuffle.
most of the same cards of the deck, but it's got Gambit in it. And what's the other card I added in it? Gambit. It was just Gambit. Maybe it was just Gambit. Yeah, maybe it was
Okay.
just Gambit that I added in
I
there.
mean, Gambit's fun on the Quantum Tunnel too. Like pew pew, bitch.
Oh no, it was Gambit Odin. So like I've been running it into a combination of Wong, Odin, and Gambit a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a version of this
Yeah.
deck for myself. That's the New Orleans Shuffle. Because like turn six, you lay Odin on top of Wong on top of Gambit. You're destroying your opponent's entire side of the
Oh
field.
yeah, yeah. It's gross. It's gross if you could pull that off. Yeah. Hard to protect anything with Invisible Woman anymore, because I see her, I play Cosmo. But man, you pull that combo off, yeah, it's nasty. Now the last thing for Quantum Tunnel, I'd say, was man, it was a great 2 days to be a Thanos owner. Oh, just chucking
Only two
gems down
days.
the quantum toilet. Oh, So good.
Yeah, I could see that.
The only
I could,
issue,
I could.
yeah, the only issue was because basically that gave you the easier advantage to try to get all the stones out, played, etc., 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 so that Thanos is that big 18 at the end, um, and you might even get him played beforehand and then still plays and he's still 18, so it's all good. But the only issue is if you are playing Thanos into a quantum tunnel situation, which also means if you're going to play Thanos in a lockjock, yeah, lockjock, that dog movie featuring Lockjaw like Air Bud. But
Hey,
yeah,
don't make fun of Airbud.
hey, I wasn't. I was
Love
making fun of
Airbud.
Lockjock. Okay, make fun of Lockjock. It's about a dog in the pound who plays football. Lockjock. He also has
Oh,
superpowers.
sorry to cut you off here, but did you know Weird World buffs collector?
They fixed it. My
That's
whole
why I
my
said
whole
it.
my whole life, my whole life has been leading to this moment and making Ben Brode listen to me.
My collector just got buffed by Weird World.
And that's why we do the work we do here.
Just
Because
to
that got
drop
it
that
done.
hot news, you know.
That got it done. Live here reporting Mindscape, or sorry, Weird World, or whatever, buffs it. Wait, Weird World? I was talking about Mindscape.
Oh well, Mindscape's still busted, but Weird
Okay.
World buffs it.
Well, then they didn't listen to me, and I still need to get Ben Bro's attention. Damn. I got excited for a hot minute, then I realized you said the wrong one. That one always worked with Collector.
Yeah, I didn't know that it
Damn.
always.
All right. Well, one day he
Okay.
will listen to my Mindscape question, which someone else asked recently, and I messaged them on Discord and said, "I wish you the best of luck because I have posted this one twice." Um, but at any rate, I mean, I gotta figure that it's unintentional and they're gonna try to fix it. Otherwise, they would have just answered me or him or them, you know, at some point easily and just been like, "Oh, this is intentional," or "Oh, we're gonna fix it." You know what I mean? So I think maybe they know it's broken, but they're just not gonna say. Like,
Or yeah, or they just haven't gotten to it yet. But
yeah, or they're busy and they haven't seen me and the other folks who have been upvoting these and asking for like a couple months now. But in any case, Thanos really good here. The only thing is if you are a Thanos player and you're running Lockjaw, not Lockjock, but if you're running Lockjaw or into a quantum tunnel and you're playing Thanos, the reality gem becomes an issue. You can safely play on the quantum tunnel if reality gem is in your hand, but if not, you're risking pulling the reality gem out and just turning the quantum tunnel into something else, which reduces the effectiveness of getting the stones and playing Thanos, etc. So be careful about that when playing that. But that's pretty much quantum tunnel. The one thing I think I would add to Washington D.C. is if you're running a Cerebro deck, this would potentially get in the way of that. So if you're running into a hot location, Washington D.C. or any kind of hot location, buff the cards there situation at all. Nidavellir, whatever it is, Muir Island. That's going to run counter to Cerebro very hard. And if you're just seeing those locations in ladder and you're a Cerebro player, consider just retreating. Play the next hand. But I think that's it for the accessible vacation locations. So we will be back with some super squads. We got some good ones. We are back with super squads. The first threat we have is an Avengers level dynamic duo threat, Shuri and Arrow. We'll have a screen grab of an example of this coming up later. So if you're visual and need to see it in action, we got that for you. We'll also probably have a clip show of that from that same screen grab potentially. We shall see. But Shuri Arrow, this is really nice because you get a 16 power card. You know, actually it's a 14. This is an old Arrow graphic I might have used for some reason.
yeah, because there are 7
Because
now.
she's a 7 now. It's been updated. So ignore the 8, but she'll be a 14 and she can move stuff. And 14 isn't too shabby um, of a play. And then you can still Taskmaster copy that. You can split it with Zola. You know, you got a lot of options. But it's a really solid combination that makes that arrow tech work just even better. Because 14 power while controlling where stuff goes is really sweet. It's really sweet. And what could be really funny is if for some reason, I don't know why, but if for some reason you were landing this combo on turn 6, you know, with the buff, you could end up pulling somebody's Magneto to arrow, and then they just pull a bunch of your cards there, and you get more power while also beating them on those other locations anyway. Sometimes, so it's kind of funny. But this can be really powerful, you know. And I know. Well, Smokey, anything with Sherry's powerful. Well, yeah, but
I mean, certain
arrow,
cards definitely benefit with more, like Red
yeah,
Skull.
yeah.
That
Or if you had Kingpin with this, I mean, just nuke everything, and you know, throw a 14 down. I mean, that'd be gross. 14 plus Kingpin's what, like 4?
yes, Kingpin is 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 cost, 4 power. My brain likes to mix those up. But yeah, so this can be really good.
I would agree. And it's not as picky as some other combinations.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And it allows you to control where your power is and where their power is. This next one is a Defender's level threat dynamic duo, and this is the Hood and Viper. So this is like, say you want a free demon from the Hood, but you also don't want to give yourself a -2. This is a five power swing essentially with Viper. Um, you play it on a lane where you played Hood alone. So if you play it 1-2, perfect. And you send Hood over to the other side. Now they've got a -2. Sucks to be them, you know. Clogs their lane, reduces their power. And then you're going to have that 1 cost 6 demon later. If you're rocking this in a Quinjet deck, it's a free demon later. So, I mean, you could really do some nice damage with this. Because technically, this is a 5-point swing with that. But yeah, the demon's an 11-point play in total. That's pretty good. That is pretty good for 4 costs total, right? Um, you're getting a Hulk worth of power. Yeah, it's spread around a little. There's some effects, and sure, if they're rocking Destro, they could eat the Hood, and that makes it more of a 10 power. And then you're really just looking at like an Okoye up, Chavez or something. But very solid combo. And if you want to see it in use, we should have some clips of that. In addition, we should have Clown's deck coming up, which features that. The next Defender's level threat is one that threw Jer for a loop to start with, but it's Green Goblin Titania.
Not
So,
that that takes much.
no, that's not true. But Titania. So we've talked about it before. We've invented some game modes for the game. We actually the devs were asking people on Twitter, hey, what game modes have y'all come up with? And I linked them the Night Snappers official game rules sheet with like Titania tennis and stuff like that. And so this one though is a really solid combo because Titania is going to bounce back and forth, and you're like, well, why not just use 0 and make that not happen? Okay. But why not make it an 8-point play while stuffing their lane and not just an 8-point play for you? And so the way this works is Titania makes them a little more hesitant just to play in the lane because they have to figure out where the card's going to go, how it's going to go, and they're going to start doing some like mental on how they want to keep that card. And now you're playing their hand for them. You're making their decisions. They're not making their decisions based on their curve and what they should do anymore. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is Green Goblin. Okay, so Titania, if they have 3 cards and play a card, they can't get her back. If they have 2 cards, right? Like, so say like you've both played a card and it's Titania, and or I mean you've played Titania, they played a card, right? The next turn they flip it over to them. You play a card, you flip it back. Green Goblin goes over. They've got 3 cards there. Titania goes back. They can't play there now. And you get to decide when you get that 5 points back. And that's just nasty. It can really shut down and clog a lane, and give you control of a situation, without having to wait till a late turn in the game. That I think that's the real key element here is you can do this potentially by turn 3, maybe even 4. Whereas like Jess Jones Storm combo you can only do by 4, right? Atuma Armor only can be done by 4. So as combos go, this one's really cheap, really powerful. And it's non-traditional in the sense, that like you could get a good similar, like Zero and say Ebony Maw, right, for like a solid 10 early, right? Yeah, true. But this one will confuse, astound, and distract and clog lanes, and getting into your opponent's head can honestly make a big difference sometimes. You can just
100%.
you
That's
yeah
you win a lot of games that way.
yeah you're gonna get them thinking about something with this other than what they need to be thinking about, and that's how you slip in those snaps and stuff and get those extra cubes. So it could be a really nasty combo. Don't overlook this. Next up, though, we got a starter dough trio. This is Magic, She-Hulk, and the Infinite. So this is gross. This is very gross to build a deck around. You can even use it with some of those previous combos like Viper Hood, Titania Goblin. But the way this works is you play Magic on 5, you skip 6, and you play She-Hulk and Infinite on 7 for 30 points.
Oh,
Yeah. So as long as you've laid good groundwork going into turn 4, or like after turn 4 going into turn 5, you'll basically know, okay, this lane's going to need Infinite, this lane can win with She-Hulk or whatever, and that's nasty. And they don't usually see that coming, from Magic, and they don't usually think about both of those cards at the same time. So that's a lot of fun.
because of the having to skip a turn to get Infinite. Yeah.
Yeah. The last time anybody thought about She-Hulk and Infinite in the same breath was like before the nerf came in to She-Hulk. That made it not possible to play them both in the same turn without Magic. But that is Super Squads, except for our decks of the week. So we'll be doing those next. First up is the one I've been climbing with since Mo Swarm vs. Mo Problems. And I swear I know where it is. There we go. I called it Cat Zero Climb, even though there's no zero in there, because it's based on the Zero Red Skull Climb deck, but it's not with zero. You don't need zero with this, and in fact, it's more powerful because of that. And I call it Cat Zero because Cat Luriana, who is one of the awesome community members, she has been building me decks to help me climb because she's just wicked smart at the game. And so this is one she came up with for me when I was kind of running into a wall. I got to diamond. I got out of plat, got to diamond with the Mo Swarm vs. Mo Problems. But I was kind of running into a wall, like a cube attrition. I wasn't really climbing very well. So she gave me this to run with. And it's nasty. So you've got Sunspot, Zabu, Lizard, Cosmo, Shuri, Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Taskmaster, Arrow, Red Skull, Arnim Zola, and She-Hulk. So you've got a lot of tech, um, and you've got a lot of buff and copy split. So you can be very insulated against a lot of things, and you can also insulate against a lot of things. Um, I would say, aside from no zero, in the deck, and that not being necessary, I'd say, it's got like, it's got more curves than a '57 Chevy. It's got more curves than the moons of Saturn. It's got more curves than Sir Mix-a-Lot can handle. Like, this deck basically constantly just goes, hey, this is a way to go. 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 And so, to that ends, you can play Zabu, Lizard, Sunspot anywhere in one through three. You get Zabu going on turn two, and you have Shuri. You can play Shuri on turn three. You can Enchantress something early. I would recommend waiting later for her, but sometimes you got to Enchantress on three just because they've got something out there important, or they've already got their Morbius down, or who knows what. And so you put her on three because that way you don't play Shuri on three and then sit there going, uh-oh, can't do anything about that card, because if I do, it's an 8 for Enchantress, not a 30 for Red Skull, or a 14 for Arrow, or a 20 for She-Hulk. But the goal here is to Cosmo to protect where you're gonna split to, not where you're gonna copy at or whatnot. So, like, say for example, you've got the three locations, and you play Cosmo mid. That means you're gonna um, play Red Skull there after Shuri, and drop Taskmaster left or right. Or alternatively, you're gonna play Red Skull left or right and split him with Arnim Zola, you know, and then that protects one of the two. That though is not as good if you have Prio on turn six. So the downside to this deck is it can be hit with Shang-Chi because you will most often have Prio going into turn six if everything's going well for you. So you have to try to protect your big card with Cosmo. That's what it's there for. Um, then you have options with She-Hulk in terms of um, if you don't get Arnim, you don't get Shuri or something like that, right? You don't get Taskmaster. You could always skip five and play Red Skull and her on the same turn. Like, so that's an option. Then if you manage to like lane well early, get good leads early, you can Arrow on turn six and just make sure the two lanes you're already leading, you stay leading. So you got a lot of options. The only issue is you have to be careful with Cosmo if you're gonna be using Arrow, because that's a lane where you can't Arrow now. And then you also have to watch out for Super Scroll. If they play Super Scroll, then you got to remember that, because I ran into one this week where I lost because I was like, oh, that motherfucker. Because you got to like scroll through 500 things on his card instead of like being able to see it readily, and I didn't realize that he had my Cosmo buff because I forgot about the turn order. I thought I thought he had Prio and I played after or something, but it's an ongoing anyway, so I don't know what my brain did there. But long story short, I fucked up, and you don't want to make that same fuck up. So be careful where you play your Cosmo and where you have to play things after that. But very, very solid deck. It's got good insulation against leader with Taskmaster and Zola. It's got plenty of counters and tech, and Zabu's still best kitty. I don't know why people are upset at the nerf. Still works great.
Yeah, I don't really get the Zabu like frustration
Yeah,
either. I still see a lot of them.
yeah, and when Zabu did reduce it by more, I'll just say this: there were so many times that I did nothing because my cards were all so cheap, and I didn't want to just play those ones at that time. So a lot of times I'm sitting there with like 5 1-cost cards or 2-cost cards, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
I guess I'll wait. So I mean, it didn't change. It didn't change anything really, other than double Spidey. And you know what? That was a war of attrition. It's not big cube gains. So anybody that was like upset about that, don't worry about it. It affects Darkhawk minimally. It's fine. Next up, we got your deck, which is APOC at the Disco version 2, I think.
Yes, because I
So,
swapped Wade out for Sunspot.
okay, okay. Yeah, that's a good change in my opinion because Blade too
And
often
there's a,
kills
there's
you.
a very valid reason as to why I did that, being that I often skip like turns 1 through 3,
Let's see. Yeah, because you don't want to
uh,
destroy the
because I'm
value
waiting
cards,
for
right?
long. But
And because you don't want to destroy your valuable cards, right?
yes, yes,
If you nuke Modoc, then all's lost anyway.
yes, and I will occasionally still nuke Modoc, unfortunately. But
Yeah, hazards
I
of the job.
mean, you can still win without Modoc,
Right.
which is nice. Like there is some insulation because I've got so many other cards that discard cards that will buff Morbius, right? Because at that point, once
Right.
Modoc's done, Morbius is my big bad,
Right.
basically. And Collector to some extent, but Collector kind of relies on there being an APOC. Um, and Swarm both. Like
Right.
Swarm needs to have been discarded a bunch in order for Collector to be beneficial,
Right.
which is why I considered for a version 3 putting Sentinel in to give another card that would buff Collector.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I would swap out in that case.
Yeah.
Maybe Black Bolt,
Yeah. You
but
could, but then also the cards fighting with other cards
yeah,
in
the
curve
synergy
orders.
kind of
Yeah.
goes away a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. It's fighting against other cards, so that never goes
I
well.
should say the bones of this deck were built by Cat, so I want to give Cat credit.
Yeah.
She did some deck doctoring for me,
Yeah. She's really good
and
at that.
it's done like amazingly well for me.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my spreadsheet right now, and I have played. Uh, let's see, 300, and as of right now, like as of this moment, 366 games with
Ooh.
this deck,
Okay.
and I am at rank 55.4,
Not bad.
which is the highest I've been since season 1.
Not bad. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So yeah, um, I've had some pretty good success with it. I'll go through like, and I don't often have like long losing streaks. I think the longest losing streak I've had with this deck was 12, which was a really rough stretch, granted. But that was the other night when I was like
When you played too
messaging you,
much.
being like, I played for fucking 12 hours, and
Yeah.
I
Way too
was
long.
just like, I'm like losing the garbage. Like I'm not even losing because they're better than me. I'm just losing because
Because your brain's tired and you're not even doing stuff
yeah,
good anymore, and you're
yeah,
taking bad risks because you don't see them as risks because you've been numbed by like 500 hands. Yeah, that's why
yeah.
it's good to take a break.
But I mean, I think the curve for this deck, unfortunately, is telegraphable.
Yeah,
Like you see Wong,
yeah,
you know what's coming,
yeah. You just
right?
throw Cosmo on that lane and be like, "Toodles."
Yeah. So it's like it is unfortunate. Um, I see a lot of Enchantress to take care of my Morbius.
Yep, 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 yep. I've even
Um,
seen rogues do that, and I'm just like, "All right, you
Rogue
get
isn't one
you
I
get a
see a lot
one,
of.
but."
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a desperation play. It's like, well, I'm not going to get any power from it, but at least you get nuked. It's not a bad play, but the better play is definitely Enchantress.
I mean, that's why a lot of times when I'm playing my Morbius, I will play him alongside like
Yeah,
a collector and a
yeah,
sunspot. Like those three
right.
cards will go most of the time, not all the time, most of the time those three cards go in the same lane.
Yeah,
Because even if you nuke my Morbius, I've still, as long as I get the right cards,
yeah,
aka do not get rid of my fucking Swarm and APOC,
right, right.
my collector's still gonna get buffed. I'm
Yeah,
still gonna be skipping turns, so Sunspot's gonna
yeah,
get buffed,
yeah,
right? So that lane is probably gonna be enough to like it may not win me the game, but it's not gonna lose me the game
yeah,
either, right?
yeah.
So, you know,
I think it's a good example of a Modoc APOC type disco deck that a player who does not have Dracula and is like, yeah, but how am I supposed to make this really work? Well, this is how you do this instead. So
yeah.
instead of Dracula, you have Collector basically. And is he as good as Dracula? Oh no, 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 no.
No.
But he'll help you lane, and then you just have to play the APOC, which, to be perfectly frank, is not the worst thing when I'm seeing as much leech as I'm seeing right now, because you're just
Yeah,
gonna
I'm seeing a
have
lot of leech too.
because you're gonna have Dracula discard that APOC again to get him one more buff, but also to put the power onto himself. So if you're playing this version, right, you're not doing that interaction. Therefore, you're not going to kill the APOC by, getting the Dracula going. You're just going to play the APOC and be like, yeah, that's cool. I'll take the power as is, and that's going to be okay. So I think that's a nice little insulator against one of the main counters to Modok and stuff this season.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying this deck. There haven't been a lot of situations where I'm like, I've come up against a deck that I 100% can't beat. Um, which,
Yeah, you've
you
even beat a
see a lot
Galactus
of
this week.
that with a lot of other decks. Like, prior to this deck, I was seeing a lot of Ultron, and I was getting like, I'm really sick of fucking Ultron. Like, leave me the alone.
Yeah, I'm not seeing as much of him lately, and that's kind of nice. He's still out there, but haven't been seeing him as much. That's nice. Yeah, forget having no strings on you, Ultron. You're gonna have no batteries on you. I get done with you, buddy. You're not gonna be singing your tunes anymore.
Really though.
But yeah, so that's our featured decks, and that's Super Squad. So we'll be right back with some superhero system where we talk about the poker of it all. On superhero system this week, we kind of carrying over from the Cat Zero Climb deck. The idea of having more outs than your opponent and more insulating options against their strategy. We're going to talk about that today. You want to tell us what we mean by insulating options? Like, what are those?
So, like, insulating options would be like cards that protect you from you not getting your curve, but
Yeah,
also protect you if your opponent does manage to get their curve. So uh like say for example, my Modok deck, if my Modok gets discarded, I have ways of insulating against that because of Sunspot,
right, right,
Morbius, and Collector,
right.
and a number of other discard cards.
And then a lot of times too, those options also mean like tech cards, because you're
Yes,
gonna need
yes.
you're gonna need those to insulate against stuff, and they're the only thing you can use.
So like if you feel like you're coming up against like a discard or a destroy deck, Cosmo, because
Yep,
a lot of those cards are on reveal.
yep. If you're coming up against more
Enchantress
traditional,
as well, things like
yep,
that.
or if you're coming against more traditional decks where instead of a post game reveal with Dracula, you're actually getting tall cards that you know are coming or have seen come that you can smack with Shang-Chi, then he's very viable too. And if you're gonna run if you're running specifically that holy trinity of tech cards of Enchantress, Shang-Chi, and Cosmo, you almost just want to run Zabu. That way you can do more with your turns, or even potentially drop two of those on turn 6 to just swing the game in your favor, knowing that you don't have to play your big cards this time. You can, you know, counter theirs instead. Um, that said, there's also, we've talked about curves and curving out on this before. So we're going to talk a little bit about curves versus strategies. A curve, obviously, as we've mentioned many times, has to do with a specific set of cards played in a specific turn order. Um, so, those are like card combinations, and those are like ideal draws, the nuts when you get them. But a strategy is that in the moment decision, that specific move or play you put against a specific set of circumstances, right? So a curve that that's some like Platonic, you know, Aristotelian shit or something where like there's like a perfect form for like Plato or whatever, right? And it's like independent of the universe. That's a curve, you know? Like a curve exists on paper, it exists as a theory, it exists, regardless. A strategy only exists in a theory if you start giving a bunch of circumstances because you can't just have a strategy out of nothing. Like if I say right now, Jared, give me a strategy right now for Snap, you'd be like, for like what situation, what hand?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
you're not gonna be like, yeah, okay,
What kind of situation am I walking into?
yeah, you're gonna ask me, give me some
Or
specifics,
wheeling?
exactly, because that's how a strategy works. So, you know, you have to be able to handle both. You have to be able to make a strategy around what your curve is in the event that um, cards on the other side are played that affect it. You can't just sit there robotic snapping your curve out and then when you lose go,
Unless you're running
oh.
an autopilot deck, in which case
Mm-hmm.
that. Mm,
Which is why, like we said about Darkhawk before, some folks are a little upset about the pool drop and this and that because it's not going to be so exclusive anymore and whatnot. But yeah, that would be like an autopilot deck where that's where a person gets real used to just playing their curve without paying attention to it and without having to do a lot of strategy. Exactly. So I think though for in terms of strategy and curves, if you have more outs, you have more options for both. And if you have more outs, you have more curves to draw into. Having more curves to draw into means that the opponent has fewer chances to predict 100% what you're going to do. They won't be able to read you completely or perfectly because you have more than one way to go with it.
mm,
For example, in terms of poker, you can think of this like a straight draw. So in a straight draw, you've got 4 cards out of 5 to make that straight. Like let's just say like you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. You need 6, right? Well, that's an outside straight draw. Well, you need 1 card, right? Or but you can get it from that side or you can get it from this side because you can still draw an ace, right? That's why I started at 2. So the 4 cards are in the middle, but you can hit it here with the ace, or you can hit it on the other side for the 6. It gives you 2 cards to draw, which obviously in poker, there's 4 suits, so it's really a lot more than just 2 cards. But point being, it gives you 2 more types of card to draw for. Now, if you're going for an inside straight draw, that would be like having ace, 2, 4, 5. Well, only a 3 can help you. There's only 4 of them in the deck. What if somebody else even has one of them? What if, like, wow, that's just way fewer cards. I don't like it. That's 4 outs to potentially 8. Nah, no, I'm good. So, the having more curves situation. So like when we go back to the Cat Zero deck, being able to play Arrow into Shuri, like after Shuri, being able to play Red Skull or being able to do She Hulk and being able to choose different ones at different times gives you more options for strategy, but it also means that you have more curves that you're drawing into. Um, Now, more curves means obviously more strategies versus opponent, but also it means more strategies against their specific curve, especially if they don't have as many outs. So if you're running up
I
against a
mean,
Patriot deck, you know that if they get the Doombot, that's some weak tea. It's not going to hit you, um, but that Ultron might. But if they didn't play their like Mystique or Patriot or Blue Marvel leading into that turn, you also know that those are some really small bots. You know, so that their curve is very dependent on one lane, one route, one sequence of events, whereas you're just like dodging, moving, stick and move, like the whole time as the hand unfolds. And what were you say, Jer?
I was gonna say there. I mean, there is something to be said about there being an art and a science when it comes to deck building. So, like, not having too many curves that you start like counteracting yourself when you're building your deck to like um not have synergies and kind of outplay yourself because you're like,
Right.
okay, but if I don't get the right order of this,
Yeah.
this, or this, then you know.
Yeah, and that's where like that Cat Zero deck comes in as a great example because the varied curves there are like all synergistic, all run into each other, and in if you're missing cards to one curve, you will inherently have the cards for the other one. Like it's very rare that you don't have a curve to play. Um, a circumstance like that would be if you never get Arrow, never get Red Skull, never get She Hulk, but you get Arnhem and Taskmaster. You know what I mean? That would be the rare chance. But because you have so many outs and whatnot, because it's synergistic, that's what makes them outs. An out is a card that's a viable option for you to win or for your hand to get better, right?
Mhm.
So like or to complete. So by having so many outs, you'll hit those curves. Whereas like where we were talking about something earlier, and I said, yeah, but that might run counter to that curve, and you were like, yeah, that's true. It might not work in that deck. That's what you're talking about, I think, right? Like you don't want to have two
I
curves
just
that
think
go
it's
against each other.
I think if you give your brain there's a basic what I'm trying to say is there's a fine line of like in the moment giving your brain too much info to digest.
Yeah, and
So like
that's where practicing the deck comes in handy, especially if you can battle some friends.
yeah, I guess what I'm saying is like if you're just coming into this game and you're trying to like learn the mechanics while
Yeah, definitely don't
also
try to do
building a deck,
5 curves at once.
it
No.
can it can be very
Yeah.
I
It can
don't
be a
know the
lot
right
to it can be
word
a
to
lot to
use.
process at one time. You're trying to do quantum computing and you're running on DOS at this point because you just got here.
Especially since the turns are timed, which I
Mm-hmm.
understand why they're timed.
Yeah.
But even for me, as somebody who's played a lot of card
Yeah,
games, there are times
75
that like
seconds isn't a lot sometimes. Yeah.
there are times that I will run out of space.
Yep.
You know, I
Yep.
will run out of
Yep.
time
Yep.
to make a play, and it'll be like I will have thought it's the right
Mm-hmm.
play. I'm like as I'm running out of time, my brain will be like, "This is what I need to
Oh.
do," but I don't have enough time to actually do the play because I've took me so long to think of
Yeah.
it, and then all of a sudden I lose because I didn't just play the cards that I needed
Yeah.
to play because I read it. And I'm experienced.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Running out of time
there
is
is
rough.
something to be said about when it comes to deck building to be like, okay, know that there are going to be situations you're going to be under a little bit of pressure, and you know maybe limit, especially when you're just starting out, maybe limit your curves, not your strategies, but your curves to one or two until you can get familiar with the mechanics and familiar
Yeah.
with, you know,
I mean, that's
the
viable
game.
for new players, but anyone else, don't do that. Try to have as many outs as
Yeah,
possible and as synergistically as possible because
I'm trying to be
but new
as
players, yeah, definitely if you're a new player, don't be trying to do too much all at one time, especially because you're not going to have the cards to do that. Um, when we're talking about having all these curves that I have every pool 3 card and I have Shuri and like so I'm in a situation to run certain things that someone who's if you're missing Shuri, the deck I'm running is a lot harder to pull off. It's just a lot harder to pull off. Good luck to you because you're going to have to deal with the fact that Red Skull will only have 15 power. And if he only has 15 power, he's a 7 power card. Why? Because if the other side gets full, he's giving away 8. That's a 7 power card. That's just
yeah.
math. But when he's a 30, he's a 22. And that's a much bigger card because that's a bigger than Infinite. And that's nice. That's real nice. But,
And
you
he's
have to have the
cheaper than
curves.
Vanilla because you don't got to skip a turn.
Mm-hmm. 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 And then you could follow up with Taskmaster, Zola afterward, and now you got 2 of that 30 power card, and only one of them, if it's Taskmaster, is even actually hurting you at a lane. So it can be really nice. But
Yeah, I
if
actually
you
just lost the game because somebody
so
taskmastered a
there you
Red
go.
Skull.
And if you don't have enough outs, or I mean enough cards to build this, you're not going to be able to build it to have enough outs, because outs, remember, are synergistic card plays for curves, um, and outs are cards that you can draw to complete the curves. And so having multiple outs means you have multiple cards that fit into the curve, which means in technical sense, yeah, you're running like 3 or 4 curves, but as an experienced player, and I think this is what Jared was hitting on, as an experienced player, you're not going to see it that way. You just see it as one curve with options. You see it as like a fork, a tree branch.
Yep.
You don't see it as
Yep.
like 4 different lanes on the highway, or 4 different highways all together
No, it's
at like an
one lane
interchange,
that
you know?
divides
Yeah.
into many other
Yeah, you
options.
just see a branch like, okay, I can go here, and if I go here, then I can go here and here, and if I go here, I can go here and here. But if you go back and go right,
And if I go
you can
here,
go,
then I can't go here, but I can still
yeah,
go here, here,
exactly,
here, and here.
yeah, and it's
Right.
more a tree branch than anything. But um, I think the other
But you
thing,
got to get to that level of
yeah,
understanding the
yeah,
mechanics, and
yeah,
like that
yeah,
takes time.
yeah. So one of the cool things about tech cards providing more outs is that these and why we brought them up at the beginning and why we're circling back to them here is because tech cards are synergistic in almost every deck, in almost every curve. They have a use to almost everything you could possibly be doing. So you can slot tech cards in very easily, especially the ones from the Holy Trinity, right? You could slot those in very easily, because even though they don't necessarily have high power output, capping at like 4 and 3, um, their effects are extremely powerful that can nullify or eliminate other cards entirely. And like with Shang-Chi, if someone has like a lane with like 2 tall cards and he comes swinging, they have a lane with just whatever small cards are there, and him at 3 and whatever else he had there's usually enough. And then like with Enchantress, like someone's got like a Morbius, and that thing's getting out of hand. It's like approaching 20 or something, right? You
Yep.
throw Enchantress in there, and it's like, GG, that's a 0 now. So even though Enchantress is only a 4, effectively she was a 26 in that case. Or
As a person who runs a lot of Morbius, I hate Enchanters.
yeah. Now that said, we've covered 2 of the Holy Trinity, but then there's Cosmo. Now Cosmo's best girl. Reason Cosmo's the best girl and is good puppers is because Cosmo can be offensive or defensive. So offensive, she can be used to deter an opponent from laning where you plan to drop powerful ongoing or inherent cards anyway, because they're not going to be able to get reveal effects there, but that doesn't affect the cards you're planning to lane, so that's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
you could, for example, Cosmo into your Morbius.
yeah, you could Cosmo the Morbius lane, and then they can't get Enchantress, exactly. And that's kind of like that one. I think though goes more toward the defensive side of it, which is the flip side, right? Of you taking out the Morbius. So defensively, yeah, Cosmo can be used to protect a larger card like Morbius from the Enchantress, or a larger card that's not necessarily an ongoing from just straight up getting nuked by a Shang-Chi, because if Shang-Chi can't reveal his, his punch, then what's he going to be able to do, right? And so
Hmm.
that makes Cosmo more versatile than Armor, because Armor, if you play it, you can't kill them either, right? And if you have, say, Zabu, right? Because we said tech cards and Zabu, best friends. If Shang-Chi costs 3, say, you can go Shang-Chi Cosmo if you have Prio, particularly, right? And then you can Shang-Chi, kill their cards, and then protect yours with Cosmo. Like you can do a lot of cool stuff that way. So it just makes it way more versatile than Armor as a card. Um, but there are certain cases where, yeah, you got to play Armor. If you're playing Atuma, doesn't matter Cosmo Schmosmo, Atuma still dies. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a reveal. That's an inherent. So that you would still need Armor for. But yeah.
Yeah, like collectors and inherent too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Now, Shadow King that came out can reset those cards to their original base values. So, um, Cosmo could protect against that too. Because if dude can't reveal, dude can't steal, right? But I
True.
think that takes us through superhero system, and we will be back with some community decks. We are back with some community decks. We have quite a few this week, and we have some screen grabs of how they run. We've even got some really extended clips of how things run. So really good this week. We appreciate all the contributions from the community. This first one is from Captain Venom. Captain Venom's had some stuff on here before, and this one's called Captain Venom's Zero Climb. And this one, well, it's basically the one that I was gonna run until Cat got involved and gave me the version that I do run that doesn't have Zero or Typhoid Mary. And so this is the meta deck more or less in terms of the Red Skull that you're gonna see with Shuri. You will less often see the kind that I'm running. Huh?
Just looking at it makes me cringe because I know
Yeah.
it means a loss.
Yeah. So see, for me, instead of Mary, I have She-Hulk, and then instead of Zero, I have Arnim Zola.
Do they use Zero to get rid of the effect of Red Skull?
Yeah, or Typhoid Mary. Because Typhoid Mary is like Hazmat, but only for your side.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't want her in there.
Well, the thing is, if you play Shuri into Typhoid Mary, she's a 20. And she puts a -1, so it's a -4 to each location at most. And she's a 20. So makes her a 16 at the
I
location.
mean, it balances out, yeah, but I don't think I would want her.
Yeah, but if you play
I'd probably
Zero
go
ahead, you'd be
She-Hulk.
alright. But yeah, She-Hulk's better because you don't have to worry about having another card to get her out. In fact, you can just do nothing to get her out. Um, and then,
Technically, you could play her before you could play Typhoid.
yeah, technically you could. Or the same turn, actually. Not before, but yeah. Play her the same
Yeah,
turn.
yeah, yeah. Well, you can play it on third. I've had
Well, yeah, but
She-Hulk
you
play
have
it
to
on
have had
third.
played something else that gives you energy or something like that because she's a 6 cost and you would have only got,
Dialogue or yeah,
yeah, you would only have 2 off,
Left
so she'd
Brave.
be a 4 on turn 3 unless you had done Psylocke or something or Electro. But yeah, it is possible to play She-Hulk before or at the same time as Typhoid Mary, so it's better just to have She-Hulk. Then similarities though, obviously like Arrow and all that stuff, Shuri, Cosmo, Lizard, but it's a really strong deck. So if you don't have She-Hulk, you can do this instead. You can do Typhoid Mary and Zero, or if you don't have Arnim Zola, you can do this instead. So it's different options. It's different
I'm missing
options.
Shuri and I think Red Skull.
Yeah, those are important ones though. If you're missing those, there's not a lot you can do different. I mean,
I'm for sure missing Shuri.
yeah, Shuri's
I kind of want to look.
yeah huge for this. Definitely huge for this. I'd almost guarantee you're missing her. But the next deck we have is from Turtle Bay 408.
Name I don't recognize.
They came in chat this week and were hanging out for a bit, and they brought
Not that I'm gatekeeping. I don't want it to sound like I'm gatekeeping.
dork. Yeah, Jared did not mean anything by that. He's just surprised to have a new face contributing this week, and we like to have that. So Turtle Bay 408's deck is an interesting take on MODOK APOC. It's got a Moon Girl chaser with a little collector in it. So it's kind of got some similarities to yours, Jared, but a little different. So Morbius collector
Yeah,
Okoye
then
Wolvie.
Nikita is a little.
Nakia, yeah, but Nakia. So say you're holding Swarm in your hand when you play Nakia. Now Swarm's a 5, and every time you kill it, it's still a 5. So that can be pretty powerful
Yeah,
if you hit
because
your
it
Swarm.
keeps the. Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, and then if it buffs Wolvie and then
Same with
Wolvie
Okoye.
dies, yeah, and Okoye she buffs everything in deck. So I mean, you can get some stuff going that's really powerful, combos wise. So yeah, you got Okoye, Wolvie, Swarm, Nakia, Lady Sif, Swordmaster, Moongirl, Modok, APOC, and America is the deck stuffer to make you draw from 11. But all in all, like it's a really solid looking deck. I want to double check if I had any run instructions or not. Where did I put that? I just had it. Oh, there it is.
Fun, interesting. Yeah,
Nope. Okay, I don't have any specific run instructions, so we're cool. Um,
I might tinker with this deck.
yeah, I was thinking this might be something you'd like to maybe mess around with, Jared, because it's got some stuff you have, and it's a different flavor of Modoc APOC that you
Oh,
might
it's
find some
it's got
success with.
everything that I have. I have everything in that deck.
Yeah, yeah,
I would never have thought
yeah.
about.
So you might be able to
Actually,
find
the
some
Moon
excitement with
Girl
that.
is an interesting one too.
Well, so imagine if you are able to Nakia your swarm, you're able to kill your swarm, and then you're able to moongirl those swarms. I mean, dude, you could
Yeah,
have
you've
like
got a
30
fucking
points in your hand at the end of the game. 35
yep.
actually.
Plus, you'd have the chance to doubling your Modoc
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and you could
and
get a
your
big
APOC,
APOC as a
assuming he's
result.
powered up.
Yep.
It would be
Yeah, you could
disgusting.
have a lot of power sitting in your hand. You could have like I don't know, you could have like 60 power sitting in your hand for turn 6. I mean, that's gross. That's gross. It's really gross. So it could be very powerful. Plus, collectors getting all that buffs every time you're making those swarms, and whenever you moon girl, morb, whenever you discard all that stuff with Modoc. I mean, yeah, it's eaten in every direction. This is a good example of having lots of outs, having multiple curves in the same direction. You know, like if you don't hit the Lady Sif, that's okay. You've got the Nakia, the Swarm. If you don't hit the Moon Girl, you've got the Lady Sif. You've got the Sword Master. If you aren't hitting the collector, you've got the Wolvie, or like you've got options to curve out with that are all synergistic, so that you can put up big numbers in the end. It's a really solid deck structure. It's a really solid deck structure.
I'm currently building her.
Then next up, we have one by Ezras, who we mentioned earlier in the podcast. Ezra's deck. We will have following a brief explanation of this. We will have some gameplay coming in, some clips and stuff we have of how this deck rolls. So definitely check that out as soon as we are done talking about this deck. So that'll be some like kind of community clips, but before the clip show. And it's literally just no voice, just gameplay, just how the how to run the deck kind of thing. So we'll have, I think it's no voice, unless at times he's explaining it. I don't really remember. I recorded in the middle of the night, but we've got it. It's gonna be interesting, and it'll be at the end of this. So he called it Swarm because it's got She-Hulk and Swarm. So this is Sunspot, Quinjet, Armor, Swarm, Colleen Wing, Nakia, Shang-Chi, Moon Girl, Magic, Arrow, She-Hulk, the Infinite. Consequently, Moon Girl's got that new cartoon out. I checked it out. It's pretty fucking dope. Moon Girl and Devil Dino. It's fucking dope. The art style, fucking dope. Anyway,
I will probably check it out when I get the opportunity to.
yeah, super dope. Disney Plus, super dope. But yeah. So this deck is pretty nasty. Um, you're trying to hit that combo we talked about before of Magic, She-Hulk, Infinite, right? Um, but you got a lot of options for in between, and if you don't, and if you manage to Nakia your She-Hulk, you could really have something nice going there. Or if you manage to Nakia your Arrow, she's almost as powerful as She-Hulk now. One cost less, one power less, but she can dictate the field of play. Um, but yeah, very very nice. Got armor to protect cards. Doesn't have Cosmo as a result, but that's there to protect like your Quinjet, your Sunspot. Colleen's there to kill your Swarm. Nakia's there, like we said, to try to buff like She-Hulk, Arrow, maybe even Infinite. Who knows? You got your Moon Girl to dupe cards so that they're even cheaper, and you got Shang-Chi to take care of business off the armor lane just in case you need to. But the ideal is for the end to have some swarms you can drop places, but also to Magic on turn 5, pop that limbo, pop that limbo baby, and then knock out a skip turn 6, throw down the She-Hulk Infinite 30-point wombo combo on turn 7, and just let the cubes just pile up. That's kind of the idea behind this one. But we'll have some video of how to run it coming up right now, and after that, we'll be back with Clown's Double Double with Cheese deck. Making me hungry. So that was some gameplay of how to play Ezra's deck, and now we've got Clown's double with cheese, which is making me want to go to In-N-Out Burger for some lunch. But
Makes me want to go to McDonald's. So
so we all have problems.
yeah,
Now,
mine's more so. But yeah,
so I was playing this yesterday in some battles actually with Clown to get a feel for it and how it works. So there will be some clips from my channel of like how this played out to follow, just purely so you can see how it runs, because it is a little complicated, and just hearing me talk about it might not be enough to really see how it works, because again, we've got 4 of the cards from the Defenders combos from before in Super Squads. We've got Hood, Titania, Viper, right, Green Goblin. So that was already kind of like, whoa, these are trippy, right? And even Jer was like, that took me a second to kind of understand the Green Goblin thing. So in the event that just hearing us talk about this is like, huh? We got you covered. We got some clippies coming up after this deck, just like we did with the Ezras. That way you can see how to run this deck specifically. But the list itself is the Hood, Sunspot, Quinjet, Titania. That's a lot of smoke-costies. Carnage, Armor, Viper, a lot of 2-costies. Green Goblin, Moon Girl, Magic, She-Hulk, and Infinite. So basically you can see how like you can just dump cards and easily contain the Titania situation. But also, you know, it's a lot of low cost except for those 3 that you're trying to hit. Now, you can win games without hitting that curve, but it's a lot harder. But hitting that Magic She-Hulk Infinite curve for turn 5, skip 6, turn 7, nasty. But just the same, you've got Hood, you get that Demon, you get the Quinjet out there, that's free. You know what I mean? Like, that's a nice 0-6. You Moon Girl that, you got a 12 power play anytime, locked and loaded, 0 cost. You combine that with the 30 that you're doing for She-Hulk and Infinite on 7, 12, 30, 42. I mean, whoo, that's a big turn 7, man. That is a big turn 7. So the cool part, though, is you got the Hood there, you got him out there, you just take Viper and knock it over to the other side of the board. Make them deal with that. And if for some reason you can't, Carnage will eat his ass. That's fine. And then once you've knocked Hood over there, you've got Armor. Why? Well, you wouldn't want them eating the Hood. You wouldn't want them getting rid of the Hood. Plus, it can protect your Quinjet and Sunspot. Similarly, you wouldn't want them getting rid of that Green Goblin, right? So you can rock Armor on top of that. Now, Green Goblin is susceptible to the Beast, but as is the Hood. But, I mean, so many people, or so few people actually run bounce decks that it's really easy to get away with this strategy. Then Moon Girl, obviously, like, it's going to duplicate your hand, you know, so you can get like cheaper versions of everything. I mean, if you were able to do that with Magic, with She-Hulk and Infinite in hand already, I mean, you can technically rock that a whole turn early, still have a turn 7 to drop gigantic stuff on them. So I mean, that could be fun. But the odds of that happening are so slim, because you would have to have a situation in which you could play Moon Girl before turn 4, so you'd have to have an Elysium or something like that. That's not likely. But if you were missing one of these cards, say, and you put in like a Psylocke or something, you could make that happen earlier, and you could really get some damage going on the last turn, which could make your Titania more effective, potentially, by knowing where the lane's locked. Now, as far as Titania goes, we did talk a little bit earlier. You want to make sure that you get her on your side while they have 3 cards. That way they can't get her back. Sunspot there to soak up, and you know, the rest is pretty much self-explanatory. But if you're not sure how to rock these Viper plays, or how to, you know, really make that Green Goblin or Titania work, we got some clips coming up right now, and then after that we will be back with screen grabs of the week. Oh, yeah, clearly I turned 40 this year. I like turn my head like that, and it's all like I literally almost did that out of habit. Oh man, Battle of the Troll decks though. This is gonna be fun. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Iron Fist. That's a nice one. Ooh, that's a good movement combo right there that he just did. Iron Fist into Human Torch is like sexy combo. That gets it started. TVA. 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 Alright. Let's play TVA then. Oh shit. I'm fucked. All his cards are gonna go places. I'm so screwed. They're gonna be so cheap. Oh god, I'm in trouble. Fucker. Well, it's nice knowing you guys. Ooh, I have a chance. I have a chance. A small chance, but I have one. I have one. I have one. I have a chance. A very small one. I have no chance. I have a chance. I have no chance. I lost. Man, that was a wild ride right there if you were just listening to what I was saying, like, alone. Like, so I got a chance. Wait, no. Wait, no, I have a chance. No, I don't. Wait, there is a chance. Oh, no. Damn that TVA. I know, right? I probably was going to lose that one either way. Oh, you're playing your bounce deck. Shit, I need to learn how to play that, too. I'm dookie with that. I need to learn how to play that, too. If I had a bounce deck, though, I would name it To the Window, to the Wall. Sacred Timeline. Ooh. And the cloaks are both where the goblins are. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. You got rid of the goblin. That's one way to do it. Respect. Now I'm gonna lose that Titania. You bastard. That's why I love Cloud, man. His decks are insane. Oh my god. Oh boy, I'm in trouble. Alright, check this out. Wait, he's got goblins. Hold up. Hold up. I'm so fucked. He's got a goblin. I have to be careful. Alright, that's where I thought he was going to put it. So I think I'm still good. And I've got exactly what I need for turn 7. I believe. Well, this is about to get interesting. That Titania that's out there. I'm feeling saucy. It is a double-double with cheese. Extra sauce, huh? Oh man, and me without my ability to play an Infinite. Come on, Sunspot, do work. Sunspot, 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 Sunspot. Come on, baby. Come on, baby, one time. That was definitely a surprise Heimdall.
Victory.
This is what happens when like two troll decks battle each other. It's just filled. The whole place is just filled with nonsense. And somebody wins because stuff happens. Right? I know, surprise Heimdall. I just stuffed your side and gave you too many cards in your hand. Like, dude, this was so much fun. That was such a fun round, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, something good about playing Unshuried Red Skull in a location is that your opponent will probably contest that if they're winning another lane, and then you can just yeet with Zola. Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Just, when you get up a little higher, Venom, because, like, now that I'm in Vibranium, every motherfucker's running Shang-Chi against it constantly. Like, I'm only seeing tech decks, you know? Have fun playing Overwatch, Cat. Thanks for your help. Bye. We need light. That's a big human torch. Somebody get me a fire extinguisher, quick. Quick, 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 quick. Pass me the fire extinguisher. I'm gonna get this human torch. I gotta get rid of that location. Excuse you. Alright, see when you get back, Kid Kelly. Let us know how that deck adjustment works. Haha! Take that arrow. Surprise! It was me all along. Huh. Oh! Thank you for moving the raptor. Oh. Oh. Whoa. That was like the cheesiest double-double with cheese. Yo, I like this deck. Yeah, Limbo does hate you. I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, Savage Land and Central Park, those locations were dirty for that deck. Like, no joke. That's honestly what won it. But I still do like the way the combos work on this. Like, I can really, you know, like I can get it with extra sauce. I can get it with fries and a drink, you know. I can get it a la carte. All kind of combos for double-double with cheese. I like this deck. I like this deck. Oh, hello. I'm going with extra double. Let's see, I think those cards. Yeah, I don't want to lane there. Craven's gonna eat me up. Son of a dick.
Hey, Smokey back here taking
If I had
a
just
shit.
played
Get down.
Sunspot there. Alright, see when you get back off.
I ain't gonna tell nobody else.
I just played Sunspot there. It would be really nice. Well, I would be able to armor him, but I mean, still, yeah. I guess, no, it wouldn't matter, because movement that he's gonna punch fucking, what's his nuts over there anyway. Human Torch. I'm surprised Craven is not on Onslaught. That's huh. I'll be able to play it alternate death because I got this, but I just haven't done it yet. What was that? That's right. Oh shit. Does it take the first plate or the last plate? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. It doesn't take them in plate order, it takes them in reverse plate order. Okay. Noted. I need to make a note of that. Da, 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 da. Alright. This is gonna be hard. Do that. Heimdall. I'm so screwed. I win with Maria. Still have room to get the hood over there. Alright, it's only a 16 now. I have a 10. Shit. GG, dude. That was a good one. When you get it all going, that shit's nice. Well, Maria did me no favors, too. All good, though. All good. Because the previous one locations were bad to you. You know? Away she goes. Away she goes. Ooh, I just had a nasty idea that hadn't occurred to me before. What if I Viper my carnage over? That would be funny. Perfect. It's in your hand. Extra crap in your hand. Yeah. He's gonna hit me with it though. I need my Viper now. I'm just being a smart ass. This extra crap in his hand that I don't want in there. No. 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 Probably should do this. Alright, you're titanium, that's not good. Point Los Diablos. Right now, they have to basically play into advantage for me on Mojo. Especially because I have Viper. I play Viper, she comes back and I knock the card over. That card was already there. Perfect. See? They can't play a card, I can't play a card. Unless I play Viper. Okay, where were we? Free Infinite, free She-Hulk. Bet. I can win this. Ooh, surprise Heimdall at the ruins, right? Yo, that's good. That's good. That's good. That is so good for me. Potentially. Not really. Because I don't think I can beat it now, though. It was almost good for me. He just got too big. No. No. That Human Torch is nasty. And this deck has nothing for it. Unless you can, like, stop him from moving. But, like, oh, that's really niche. Really niche use. Yeah. I wonder if that means Titania, out of curiosity. Or is she already there? Definitely don't do him any favors with armor on Fist Tower, I can tell you that right now. Shuri's Lab. Somebody likes me. Watch him use it against me later, though. Watch him be beasting right now. Beast. I mean, because if he doubles that there, that's a 12. Minus 12. So I think what we have to do is this, just in case. And then... just skip. Yep, that was a choice. That was definitely the choice. That was the choice! I knew he would. I knew he was gonna do it. I knew he was gonna do it. I knew he was gonna do it. The only problem is, can he get it back out again? I don't think so. I don't think he can get it with Falcon. I think it's... oh, okay. I think we're good there. I think we're good there. Whoa, that was nasty fucking 5-head play I made. Yo, dog. Dog. Okay, well, I guess I don't have to do math. Yeah, I think that was gonna be a win though, yeah. Because I was going to be able to put like 20 down there. Yeah. At least. Tried to Iron Fist it over, but it went nowhere. Because it already revealed. So Green Goblin revealed, couldn't go anywhere. Then Iron Fist action happens, boom. Then the location happens last, because the cards do their thing, and then the location acts upon them. That's what makes things like Storm and stuff work, right? So that's trippy. No! Okay. Equal trade. It's nice. We'll take. We take the nice stuff that happens. We don't even have Moon Girl anymore. What's the point of that? Shit. I have to be careful when I try to send Hood over, to be honest, and I don't think I'm going to do it either. Be able to do it either. Yeah, just for all the cubes, man. I think I've already fucked up. I mean, to be fair, I think not having Moon Girls is screw me. Right, he's got his card grabbers still. So grab his cards. He can still bounce. I don't want him to bounce and then be able to play a goblin back on me because I don't have a very good hand right now. That's for everything. Some problem lose. Oh, we did top deck magic, and that is helpful. Yeah, there's the bounce. Now I can play Green Goblin. Or we can just skip that altogether. Just chuck down 30 points and see what shakes. Probably put him not here for the big one. Put her here because he'll surprise Heimdall or some shit, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think this plays. I'm not sure. Either way, this is a hell of a game. Or a hell of a battle. This week on Screen Grabs of the Week, we're going to start out with a few of mine, a few of Jared's, then we got a deck example for Clown and some deck examples for Venoms, and then the other live clips for those decks you've already seen. So first up for Screen Grabs, I called this one Trace Busta Busta, which is a reference to an old 90s movie, The Big Hit, because there's a kidnapping going on in the plot, and so there's like a call that they got to make, and they got to trace Buster, you know. So like they're like, but like, what if they trace the call? I got to trace Busta. Okay, but what if they got to trace Busta Busta? Well, I got to trace Busta Busta Busta, and I'll bust that shit. Like, it's a funny ass movie. It's a funny ass movie, but I don't know if it ages well. I haven't seen it in a hot minute. But that said, that scene is hilarious and always stuck out to me. So I call this one Trace Busta Busta because the way it worked was they Shang-Chi'd me, but I had Sinister London stuff and made big stuff and all that stuff, and then like they had Prio, so essentially I called it Trace Busta Busta because they tried to blow me up, right? Because I mean, if you look at the board, just looking at it, I mean, where did I get that power from to Taskmaster. Also, why weren't there two of what he got the power from, right? Well, because he fucking killed him. He fucking killed him. But the thing is, he he killed him. But then I played Taskmaster and it still copied his power, even though he was dead. So I called it Trace Busta Busta because it didn't matter how much tech he threw at me. You know, the cosmos and all that stuff. I still managed to pull it out. So that was a pretty good one. And I got 8 cubes off that. So we take those. Check out this next one, though. This one's fun. I put Cosmo on Comertage. It's so dirty.
I've had people do that to me, and
it's so dirty. It's so dirty.
It is.
And then Crimson Cosmos there. Cards that cost 1, 2, or 3 can't be played there, but I played Sunspot there turn 1, and then I played Shuri, so they were like, well, I can't really play cards there because I have small cards. They were like, okay, I can't play Comertage. So their whole thing was that vision play, which worked, but I Shang-Chi'd Shuri's lab, and then I played Arrow, and well, they didn't have anything left after that.
You're just mean.
I am just mean. Look how big that arrow is, though. That is a big arrow. Like, she did not fucking skip leg day, man. This next one I called She-Hulk Titania Tag Team, a.k.a. She-Hulk, because Titania stole She-Hulk brand in the show.
Yeah.
But you can see why.
That's a labored pun, but yeah.
Hey, it's all right. It's the She-Hulk. That's fine. And the reason I called it the She-Hulk is because, well, look at the tag teams going on. I've got Titania and She-Hulk. I've got Titania and She-Hulk, and then I got Titania. Like, I've got both of them like everywhere, and there's just so many of them, and it was just fun. It was just a fun one. I just thought it was cool, and I'm playing Clown from the community in a battle here, so this is just fun. This isn't like, oh ha ha, I kicked this guy's butt or nothing. Nah. This is Clown. We were just having a bit of fun. He was testing out.
Was it Titania Tennis?
No. He was testing out a bounce deck with like a little change to it and seeing how it worked, because he's got that bounce deck we'll probably feature next week, and it's really interesting with Falcon and Beast, but I think he was trying to tweak it, and so I was playing him, and I was trying to practice his double with cheese for the so I can understand it when we talk about it today, and so I was playing double with cheese. He was trying to tweak a deck, and I had this like once in a lifetime play like happen, and I was just like, wow, that's cool.
Your next screenshot instantly made me want to puke.
Oh, for sure he's on Bar Sinister. Yeah.
No, yeah.
You know what's really funny though? This player had a route to win. They had a route to win. I call this one should have Cosmo'd the right. Because if they had if I had Cosmo'd the right, I would have had my power split. I got very lucky that they didn't play anything worth 3 power at Bar Sinister, basically. So this one's actually, yes, I won, but I really probably should not have won. I should have, but they retreated, so I got lucky, is what it is. I think, or I took the screenshot from before I got
With it
forward.
only being 1 cube, yeah, they definitely retreated.
I think so. Unless, I mean, I cut off the bottom. Unless I screenshot it before it gave me my 4 cubes, I don't know. I doubt it though. I'm trying to figure out how I was able to play all of those and the arrow thing, but I think it's because it's limbo. There was still a turn 7 and he quit at turn 6, which is weird to me because he probably could have easily won that. I don't really have anything, but
you don't know that in the moment, right?
yeah, and seeing that 490, he's probably just like, son of a bitch, like, and his reaction is just like, no way he can win kind of thing. But or you could assume I have Killmonger. I don't know, and I'm gonna kill his Sunspot.
490s.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
that Sunspot there could be Shang-Chiable potentially by turn 7 too. So I figure that's probably why they were out. This first one of yours you called 107 London Avenue, I think, because you had a 107 on Sinister London.
Yeah. So I love Sinister Wonder with this deck. I because you can get copies, right? So
Yeah.
it's and double Modoc on Wong on double Wong. Like,
Yeah, you got really like lucky with that one.
yeah, I mean, calling it not luck is facetious. Like, I understand that I was super lucky,
Well,
but
no, I don't mean like that. I just mean it's super lucky just to get that combo to go that way, like to have them land on each other. And then,
yeah,
of
I
course, you
mean,
have got Kamertage with Wong on it after playing him on Sinister London to copy him, instead of having it go to Clintar. That's pretty lucky, especially because
I
if it
can
went to Clintar, it just would
I
have
can
turned
see
into a
this being
symbiote.
something that gets buffed or gets changed. I think Comertage appears way too much for this deck. Like, it makes this deck
Mm.
super freaking strong, and I'm seeing it a lot. So I can see them fixing that.
Now I'm curious. I'm curious
But
what
until
rarity
they
it
do,
is
it'll
going
be
to look.
fun.
Um, it's a
Until
common
they change it.
location, so it's the second level of rarity. So they unless they like make it, one more rarity. I don't. I think because Cosmo is an easy counter for it, you know, they don't consider it an
It
issue.
is, but you'd be surprised how little I see that as a counter.
I mean that's fair, but I think once you get to like closer to Vibranium Omega area, you see just so much more tech. There's so you can assume Cosmo Shang-Chi all the time, pretty much. So I
I mean,
think,
I am only 55, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, like down there you still see a lot more like different decks and a lot of less metas and techs. Um, just speaking from experience and climbing through there too, and then getting to like a little bit higher, where now I'm just running into tech all the time. Um, so I feel like in the highest levels, Kamertage is less of an issue, and then you got to figure. And this is why I brought it up. It's not like to delineate who's got skill or whatever. It's more about who the devs are going to listen to the most, and they're going to listen to the people at the top more than the people at the bottom. So if the people at the top are like, "Well, I just play Cosmo. Look at how many times we just play Cosmo. See, it's Cosmo, Cosmo. It's always Cosmo." Well, then they're not. The devs aren't going to do anything, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to tune the game for the bottom percent of players. They're going to tune it for the top percent because they're the ones that are playing it like at the most competitive level. That's usually how they do with any like PvP style game, anyway. I feel. Your
I
next
mean, all
one,
that makes sense. I'm
yeah.
just saying I see it a lot
Oh
with
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
deck, and
yeah.
it makes it this deck like,
I mean, your next screen grab has it.
yeah.
You call this one
Sure
an
these, pretty sure these were
apocalypse-inducing
back-to-back
swarm.
games too.
Okay, well, here's the thing that I've noticed, and I'm really curious if this is an algorithmic thing or what, and I would have to collect more data to know, but I'm going to pull up the last one again. Okay, Comertage is in the middle location. What I have found a lot of times is if it's on the right location or the middle location, it'll end up on the left or the middle location the next game I play. Sometimes, like, just one of them will. Not, like,
That's
multiple ones, but
yeah.
just one of them will. And it's really weird. And I wonder if, like, going back to talking about there's no actual pure randomness, right? I wonder if that's what's going on there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's just drawing Comertage more often, or not necessarily Comertage, but like drawing a location more often in back to backs because of an algorithmic thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, on this one, you took them for 4 cubes. They have a really nice angel
Th-
variant, and they have the baby
This
Wolverine
is
stat.
I called this one Apocalypse Inducing Swarm
Yes, you did.
just because of like the sheer number of swarms. I've since had games that I've had way more than that,
Jaboom
but
boom. Makes me think of
this,
fucking
this the amount of swarms
the plagues.
and like Shuri's lab too. It's like, oh dude,
Yeah, it makes me think of the
oh
plagues
dude.
in Rick and Morty, when he's like, Jaboom boom with the staff of God or whatever.
Yeah. Like I've since had games where I had so many swarms that like my board was full, and I still had like 8 swarms in my hand or 7 swarms in
Yeah,
my hand,
8
however the
swarms in your
max
hand
is.
after playing a full board. That's a few extra things you don't have there, buddy. I'm going to have to check you for your
Well,
math, bucko.
it was insane. I didn't grab the screenshot because I'd already had like
Yeah, I had 12 cards in my hand. I had 15 cards at each location. They were all swarm. It was nuts. Dude's just like
not that
inventing how many
many.
cards he can hold.
I mean, no.
We know what you meant. You were exaggerating. But yeah, this is a pretty good win. The dub in the middle is nice too because cards there at +4 power. So he's actually living right off of that buff because he doesn't even have 20 power really. What he really has is 17. So, and what you really have is 46 because you only played 2. So, I mean, you really decimated him there. And then Kamertage, I mean, like you said, enough swarms and stuff. His free card was a demon. That's not enough. Especially if you don't Moon Girl that demon, that's not enough. And even if he had Moon Girl the demon and he was able to play both of them there, it's still not enough. And then the Shuri's Lab, when you play a card there, you double its power, as opposed to like the Throne Room where like the highest cards double power. I mean,
Everybody, yeah.
yeah. So it seems enticing because America's an 18 and you're thinking, oh yeah, I can compete, but swarms, man, swarms. You got to remember the swarms. That's the biggest thing when you're playing a disco deck. You got to pay attention. Like I'd say this season more than ever, pay attention while you're playing to what goes shing, shing on the screen because
Hmm.
you need to know what your opponent's discarding. You've got to know because you got to know how big that
Yep.
APOC is, how big it could be, and you need to know approximately how many swarms they have because every time a swarm dies, 2 are born. Cut off
And
one
if you
head,
run into the
2 come
odd
in its
one that,
place.
and if you run into the odd one that's still running Hella, you need to know if Hella is still in their hand or if it's been discarded and it's no
Yep,
longer
because if you miss that,
viable.
you might retreat when you know they can't do anything, or you should have known they couldn't
Yep.
do anything.
Or you might be confident and be like, they don't have Hella, and then they pull Hella, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah. So this next one, I called it because you said it was something about a bridge, but I called it "You Shall Not Pass." I thought that sounded good. So this is one where there was Death Domain and Rickety Bridge. You ensured that you had the lead at Wakandan Embassy, and I'm assuming maybe a swarm or something that you just threw at the Rickety Bridge to make sure anything they played there died. They weren't able to play a Death Domain, and their lockjaw draws were really poor, like super poor.
yeah, that's pretty
Unfortunate.
much how it went.
Yeah, that's just super unfortunate. So it becomes a tiebreaker because the 2 other locations are 0-0, and you gap, so you win. That's so silly to say it that way, though, but that's how it happened. Oh, it just sounds so
I
funny.
beat Galactus this way too.
Yeah, I think that's the next one. I could just call that Galactus game.
F's for Galactus is what you called it.
Oh, okay, cool. Because the file name just said Galactus game or something. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So Galactus
I mean
loses
that
here.
that that Wong Moduck combo.
Yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they Green Goblin me, but it wasn't enough to.
No, that APOC is like Green Goblin. That's like me going to dinner once. Like I get thrown out of the bar one time, I already got that power back. Throw me out of the bar twice, forget about it. Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty good one. So this next one is from Clown. Check this one out. This is pretty good. So he's got green.
I
He's got green.
don't have it.
Yeah, you do. He's got Green Goblin on Space Throne.
No, I
You
don't.
know? Okay. Well, he's got Green Goblin on Space Throne. He's got Baron Mordo on Quantum Tunnel versus an America. So yeah, he's losing there, right? But that's okay. And then the Space Throne, he doesn't have to play anything. He wins because the Goblin on it. And then the dudes filled Shadowland with 2 ninjas because Clown playing, like he does, played a Viper, threw that ninja from
Of course he
Shadowland
did.
over there. So all they had was 2 ninjas, a Zabu, and a Sunspot. And like the Space Throne was full. America was on Quantum Tunnel. It was pretty much over for the other player.
And if I didn't know Clown, I would think he's an absolute troll. But I know that he's not.
He's super
The
awesome.
decks that he play are just
Yeah, but they're fun
oh
and interactive, and you can't blame him for that. Like you got to have fun in this game, or you're gonna go
insane.
salted. You're just gonna go full salty. So this
Been
next
there.
one, yeah, this next one's an example of how to run Venom's 0 Red Skull deck as compared to like my Red Skull deck. So this one on Dark
I also
Dimension,
don't have this one.
yeah, I don't know why. So on this one, Dark Dimension, Typhoid Mary, Sunspot versus an Ant-Man. So that's an easy dub. The Typhoid Mary is only a 10, so it is reducing everything else by 1. However, on Limbo, there's just Magic and Moon Girl, and Red Skull's there. Yes, that buffs them, but Venom also has an armor there, so they end up gapping by 5. Since Ant-Man has nothing with him on Dark Dimension, like nothing at all, man, he's worth 1 to a 10. Then dude stacked everything at Sakaar. 2 She-Hulks, a Titanian, and an Infinite. So yeah, obviously, Venom's got no chance at the middle lane, but who cares at that point? So dude like put all his power in the middle. No chance. GG. And part of it though, if you look at the arrow card played at turn 7 probably is what really did it in, because it pulled in the She-Hulk and all that kind of stuff. So that's funny. Maybe even the Infinite.
She-Hulk getting way or pulled into a place, put you over the top is always a fun way to win.
Yeah, yeah. Now this last one from Venom is less about how to run the deck and more about let's end on a really damn funny one. So this one had Bar Sinister as the left location and Bifrost as the middle location. So you can imagine the shenanigans that has ensued. And then Crimson Cosmos for the far location. So here's what happens. Early turns, before Bifrost triggers, Venom plays Shuri on Bar Sinister. Other dude plays Thor, right? All right. Cool. So Shuri's going to lose. No big deal. Now, next up, we have like a Zabu play, right, on Crimson Cosmos. And on the other side, we've got a Wave, a Jane Foster, and then Mjolnir for the last turn. But check this out. Bar Sinister, they play Death, right?
Which would normally be a solid play.
For 80 points there. Because there are 4 Red Skulls buffing 8 times 4 to the location. So Death is even like fucking just gassed up as shit, like super huge, just all the fucking juice. And it doesn't matter because it's all gifts of Red Skull, who is totaling 960 power on that location with 4 of them at like 240. 960 power, bro. Then, just to add like, the icing on the cake, Venom drops the Taskmaster on Crimson Cosmos for the last turn, which puts a 240 fucking Taskmaster there. Just obliterates him for 8 cubes. I mean, that is just nasty. Absolutely
It
nasty.
keeps on top of it, makes it that much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Jane Foster and all that, the other guy did get the Thor buffed up, right? But versus that Shuri, it's just such a waste. Like, you were already winning without the Mjolnir. You didn't need the hammer. Oh, man. That's a rough one. But, yeah, that's it for community decks. And that's it for us this week. So we will be back in a week's time with some more stuff, including counterculture with, I think it was how to counter MODOK and APOC. So check that out next week, and stay tuned for the community clips and Excelsior True Snappers. And you got anything to add, Jer?
See ya.
All right, deuces.
Where each deck fitted, even though I'm prone to snap that. Known to be so quick-witted, you sound O'Drax when you snap back. When everyone knows it rains Jess Jones on the tap mat. Think your boss sings the flow, administer vision if you're not at the spot I blow with a skip track. You tried to blow back the roof, so my armor said I will skip that. Jubilee still got a +1, Okoye said she's with that. Cause the Nightman cometh, Iceman stunneth, while the Hulkman smashing America ass who done it? Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Then Invoke drops Kazar cause he's Mr. Fantastic. His spectrum of skills are what let me handle this rap shit. His puff up, his clutch up, smokes 3 sacks like it's magic. But it's a Wolfsbane classic. You thought your full moon's Jurassic, but it's actually tragic. If I'm a silver fox with the flippity yippity yapping, he's quick like a rabbit. His girls unfurling squirrels while his flirkins hurling antics. Invoke the hawk-eyed watcher who ought to see through your static.